Oh, hey, everybody. We're back. Ezra Levant here in Toronto. It's 2 p.m. Eastern. Sheila Gunn-Reid out west where it's 12 noon. Sheila, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I am fascinated to watch the great barbecue wars of 2020 in Toronto, and I'm proud to say that we have a reporter embedded on the front lines, David Menzies.
Yeah. It's the barbecue rebellion. That's what it is. It's rare to have anyone defy authority in Canada. We are by nature more submissive and compliant than our American cousins. That's not just a stereotype. I think it's just like Australia is sort of convict stock. There's a bit of a larrikin nature there. They're by nature defiant and, they color outside the lines. It's in their blood. Well, after the American Revolution, the United Empire Loyalists, those who preferred to submit to the king, they all came north to Ontario, and Toronto is perhaps the most submissive city in North America because of it. So to see a man of great character and courage, like Adam Skelly, say, you know what, I'm not going to bend the knee, it's almost American. And that's certainly what he'll be called by the media party. They'll disparage him as un-Canadian. But listen, freedom is in our blood too. No one less than the Liberal Prime Minister named Wilfrid Laurier said that. He said, I mean, so did Diefenbaker, of course. So we took a short break there as we played a debut premiere video from David Menzies. I should tell you, I just got off the phone with an Ontario member of the provincial parliament named Randy Hillier. And Justin, maybe you can go and show the news that Randy Hillier, while all the fuss was going on at Adamson's BBQ, Randy Hillier, member of the provincial parliament, was given a ticket, a lockdown ticket today.
What?
In the last hour by Toronto police. Randy Hillier, protesting the lockdown on the grounds of the parliament. They call it Queen's Park. So he is an MPP, member of the provincial parliament. That's what they call their legislature in Ontario. Randy Hillier is a duly elected MPP, member of the provincial parliament. He was on the precincts, the grounds of the provincial parliament, where he had a protest against the lockdown on the provincial parliament, where he, you would think, has parliamentary privilege. Well, John Tory was sick of Randy Hillier, and he sicked the police on him. Do you have any viz at all, any tweets or whatnot? Let's take a look, see here, some news. If you can pump up the volume a little bit. This is from when, sorry, let's just watch and listen.
Oh, they'll have a different one. And think of your kids. Think of your kids, your family, and the lack of freedom that you're imposing on your kids. Think about that.
I'll take that into consideration too.
And do you want your kids?
I couldn't imagine being so cowardly.
Grow up in a country without freedom.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your cooperation, sir, and thank you very much.
Well, there you have it. Now, what's the source of that video? Let's give some credit where it's from. At Chickengate on Twitter. You never know what name you're going to get for a Twitter account. That was someone down there, Randy Hillier, an MP for the Lanark area. That's not too far outside of Ottawa. I've been to Lanark. It's a wonderful place. Randy is beloved. He used to be the head of the Ontario Property Owners Association, so he knows a lot about property rights and history and contracts. So naturally, and he's always been a bit of a dissident, a bit outspoken, and there he was, and he wasn't arrested. They didn't lead him off in handcuffs. Maybe that comes next week. But imagine that, Sheila. Have you ever seen a elected official being arrested, or he wasn't arrested, being fined and ticketed at the grounds of the legislature for protesting? Have you ever heard of that before?
No. This whole thing reminds me of the wheat board protests out here in Alberta, where people were willing to break the law to change the law. We saw farmers hauled away in handcuffs for doing what Eastern farmers were allowed to do, and that was just simply sell their own wheat to whomever they liked. And one of those farmers was eventually pardoned by Stephen Harper. I think actually he pardoned them all. They did serve time in jail. They were taken away in handcuffs in front of their wives and kids, much like Adam Skelly was. But the law was eventually changed, and one of those farmers did become a member of the legislature here in Alberta, Rick Strankman, but it took a long time for that change to happen. But it would not have happened without their acts of civil disobedience. And so when I see that, the Great Barbecue War, it's very, when I said on the earlier stream, it's very Albertan to me. It feels that way. It feels like plaid shirts versus brown shirts right now. And, that nothing is more Albertan than that.
I'm going to write that down. Plaid shirts versus brown shirts. That's exactly right. You raise an interesting point. For those folks who don't know the history of the West, the Canadian Wheat Board, which was brought in, if memory serves, during the Second World War to basically hoover up all the wheat in Canada and use it to the military purpose. And I get it, you're in a wartime, total war, national war. Food is a strategic asset. The Canadian Wheat Board, if my memory serves, was created as a form of wartime rationing. All right, fair enough. War's over in 1945. Canadian Wheat Board sticks into effect. But as the years and decades go by, it only applies to Western farmers, not Ontario farmers. So it wasn't just that you couldn't sell wheat on your own. It's that Western farmers couldn't, but privileged Ontario farmers could. And these Alberta farmers never said, hey, handcuff our Ontario cousins too.
Yeah.
They said, let me be free like our Ontario cousins. And the police literally arrested them. That's similar in that I don't think you're seeing Adam Skelly saying, shut down Costco also, shut down Walmart also, shut down Amazon also. I don't think he doesn't think that way.
No.
He's not some cancel culture wokerati. I think he's saying, hey, it's unfair what you're doing at all, but we can all see that you're giving a green light to Walmart, Costco, Amazon, big box stores, whatever. I wonder if there's enough independent spirit in Toronto in 2020 as there was with the Wheat Board protests, which I think were in the 80s?
In early 90s. As I was watching Randy Hillier get a ticket too, maybe Justin can pull this video up where David actually got John Tory on camera admitting that he thought the Afro-Indigenous uprising, Black Lives Matter spinoff that was infesting Nathan Phillips Square was some form of legitimate protest. And yet John Tory, doesn't think that Randy Hillier was participating in a legitimate form of protest today. And I thought that was very interesting, how the legitimate protest only seems to be reflective of one's personal political ideology, in that Randy Hillier is an independent conservative and the Afro-Indigenous uprising, theirs was legitimate because they're far left-wing lunatics.
Isn't that a great point? I mean, you can go after a restaurant in a number of ways. I think that is a gross thing to do for a son of privilege, the mayor in his $7 million condo, to be ordering cops to shut down a working class restaurateur and his entry-level job employees. I think that's super gross, and anyone who considers himself a friend of the working man or a liberal or a leftist should look in the mirror. But you could say, okay, health codes, whatever. But protest is protest. And to specifically exempt Black Lives Matter, Extinction Rebellion, Afro-Indigenous uprising. By the way, for an Afro-Indigenous group, they're pretty white. It's basically white organizers with a few paid character actors. So that's a great point, is that what Randy Hillier was doing is purely comparable to what Black Lives Matter and all those other groups did, except for Randy had a smaller protest. He's an elected MPP. He was on parliamentary precincts, and he did not engage in or even threaten violence, unlike the Afro-Indigenous group that had sort of a Chaz-like compound on the front steps of City Hall. I wonder what will come from this. I wonder, the thing is, you force feed people an evil narrative, which the media party is cooking up right now. And who knows? I mean, I saw some Twitter sites calling Adam Skelly a white supremacist, the most absurd thing, completely apropos of nothing. I wouldn't be surprised if that's on the front page of the Toronto Star tomorrow. I would not be surprised. That's my point, is we don't yet know how they're going to smear this guy, but it's going to be uniform, with the only exception of Joe Warmington in the Toronto Sun.
Yeah, they'll conveniently leave out the fact that we all saw on video the cops throw a black man who was standing on the side of Adam Skelly onto the ground and take him away as they were taking Adam Skelly away. But that's the wrong kind of black person being arrested for the media to care about.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't quite understand what was going on there. I asked David, and he told me the name Michael Arana, and there were two people on the ground there.
Yeah.
I think the guy who was on the ground right in front of the police, who was fine, was Michael Arana. The other guy, a black man, I don't think that was a gimmick or something. Yeah. I'm curious about that. And listen, I'm not one to call police racist at all.
Definitely not.
My point there was the left.
The media would.
Yeah, absolutely. They absolutely. I mean, they're calling Adam Skelly, the restaurateur, a white supremacist, when it seems like half his friends are black.
Yeah.
It's crazy times we're in. Well, listen, Sheila, when we said goodbye about 45 minutes ago, it was because we wanted to show a premiering video from David Menzies. So we sort of cut things short because we had about 50 super chats, and I'm afraid that some of those people are not watching anymore, but I think we should whip through those super chats as fast as possible. Do you think that's a good idea?
I think we should. Let's get right to them.
Okay.
We left off at Dur-Fi, gives us $2. Is the LCBO and beer store still open in Toronto? Oh, I guarantee it. The pot stores too. Mm-hmm. Greg Orr gives us $27.99. I don't see a super chat, Greg. Thank you very much. Mike Offerhouse gives us $5. Ezra, would you kindly read the preamble of the Canadian Emergency Act and have your lawyers review it? This needs to be drilled down on. God bless you. MEC. Sorry, Ezra, go ahead.
No, you know what? I will do that. And we did a whole show on that, which we should probably re-up. But keep going.
Yes. Okay. MEC gives us $5. Randy Hilliard today introduces a physiologist who gives great info. Also, Niagara Declaration. Thanks for the coverage of Adam and all you do. Cindy McNichol gives us $5. If we all don't comply, they can do nothing. Be fearless. Eddie Fox gives us $5. Says, anytime that Sheila wears plaid, I will contribute. Well, friend, you're going to be broke pretty fast, because I was looking at the Sheila Gunn Reid playlist on the Rebel News YouTube channel the other day, and I generally don't wear a lot of nice things. It's just my nature. That's not who I am. But it's t-shirt, 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 then plaid, 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 t-shirt, t-shirt, t-shirt when you're looking at the thumbnail. So you're going to be broke fast, friend. Travis Coulson, $6.99. It's making my eyes well up watching that. Travis, I hope you mean the fighting for freedom and not the heavy-handedness of the government, although both give reasons to cry. Dur-Fi gives us $2. Were horses when they blockaded the railways? That is a great point. They didn't use this kind of police presence to clear away the blockaders grinding the Canadian economy to a halt earlier this year. They let those people sit there and hand them trespass notices and then walk away. None of that happened today. It was completely heavy-handed. Roxanne LaFrance gives us $2. They're creating people with nothing left to lose. Boy, they sure are. Joey Bandar gives us $5. Nazi used the phrase. Ezra, you want to read that?
You know, I'm actually just trying to find out where it is, so I'm still looking. If you would go ahead, I'm still looking for.
I'm not even going to attempt the German, but Joey assures me that the translation is "it's for your safety."
Oh, für eure Sicherheit, for your safety. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I just found it. Yeah, that means for your safety, for your security. I mean, Stasi. During the Nazi era, It was the Gestapo, the Geheime Staatspolizei, the home, I think that's the home state police, Geheime Staatspolizei. And Stasi during the Soviet era is an acronym. Those are acronyms. And, see, this is what happens. I just start going down these rabbit holes because I'm curious, where did the word Stasi come from? And it's an acronym, Staatssicherheitsdienst, which the Ministry for State Security, the Stasi. State security. We're keeping you secure. We're keeping you secure. We're spying on you for your own good. This is for your health. When we handcuff you and throw you in the back of it, it's for your health. When we shove that black man down and his face in the dirt, it's for his health.
Yeah.
When we taser you, when we shoot you, don't you know it's for your health and your security? You're unsecure.
Yep. When the cops flattened Avi for trying to report, they were just keeping him safe from the COVID. It's fascinating. Dove gives us $6.99. Love your show. Have you seen this? Justice Center will take Calgary circuit breaker lockdown to court if implemented. Yeah, I did see that. Luckily, Calgary hasn't done that yet. Jack Krauser, $6.99. I used to back the blue, but they're really becoming the Nazis now. Look, I'm pro-cop. I think Ezra's probably pro-cop too, although it gets harder to be pro-cop every single day. That's why I'm hard on politicians who use good cops as their political enforcement arm, and that's why I'm so hard on bad cops. I don't like bad cops tainting the whole. Let's keep going. Therese Pollard gives us $5. Keep up the good fight. We definitely will. Durfi gives us $5. I wonder if Adam's arrest will help provide a legal challenge that these lockdowns mandate. Well, I'm sure there's going to be legal wrangling for a very long time regarding Adam's case. Jeff Shen gives us $20. They changed our national anthem. In all thy sons command to in all of us command. Guess they should change stand on guard to thee to stand on guard against thee. MEC gives us $5. Stephanie Smith, I think is that CP24 tweet barbecue restaurant shut down November 24th. Nate Jackson, $5. Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Yes. Viking Insane, $2. Toronto cops are nothing more than communist thugs. Again, I don't use the actions of some to taint the whole. I think none of us would want that, but I'm sure it makes it tough for good people to go into policing and stay in policing, seeing what we saw today.
Well, let me say this. The sheriffs of LA County said, we're not enforcing your kooky social distancing laws. The NYPD and other police forces have said the same thing. In fact, Governor Cuomo was raging against sheriffs who said, yeah, boss, we're not following orders. We've learned that lesson. He actually called, can we grab the headline? Cuomo actually called those sheriffs who respect civil liberties, he called them dictators. It's upside down time, people. Could you imagine Cuomo? He was sending bureaucrats with binoculars to look into people's homes. I swear to God, you can find images of it. They were looking, Cuomo calls a sheriff who won't enforce mask mandate a dictator. Yeah, mate, I think that's called projection. Yeah. So I guess my point, Sheila, is that there are some cops out there saying, yeah, not today, mate, not today.
Yeah, plenty. I think probably more are saying that than not. Some people, there are people who will use that we're just following orders. But I think that this scares a lot of good people out of policing. You'll see people taking early retirement or saying, you know what, I'm not going to go into municipal policing or the RCMP. Maybe I'll go into being a fish and wildlife officer, like the leave me alone side of policing. I think you're going to be left with not the best and not the brightest.
Well, you know what? If I wanted to destroy the police in North America, I could come at it directly and say, defund the police, get rid of the police. Yeah. And everyone say, you're kooky, you're crazy, shut up. In fact, in the United States, that hurt the Democrats in many communities. But if I was really clever about it, I would say, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll infiltrate the police ideologically, make them my mask enforcers, social distancing enforcers. And so as far as the police have any effect and power, they're doing my left wing errands.
Yep.
But most importantly, just the same way the NFL was turned against. Yeah. So look at that guy. Look at, he's taking pictures in windows.
God, gross.
So if you do that, if that cop continues, he's an agent for the left.
Yeah.
But at the very least, he's turning conservative people against the cops. It's like when they took the NFL and turned it into a woke drum to beat. Whatever was left was a leftist propaganda machine, and the right said, oh, yuck, we don't like this anymore. Same with NASCAR.
Yep.
And so the police, if you really want to destroy the police, don't defund them. Just infiltrate them, take them over, change their mission to being woke police. You'll retain all the powers of their guns. And the people you'll alienate were the traditional police supporters, the right-wingers. It's win-win-win. That's what they're doing. The Toronto police, it's not an accident. They are becoming an instrument. They are becoming a paramilitary of the left.
Yeah. Well, we've seen this already happening in the military. The Canadian military, they're changing the name of seamen to, I forget what they called it. Like we're seeing all this gendery weirdness happening in the military right now, and it's coming from the upper echelons of management, the political types who joined the military and advanced quite quickly. And it's very demoralizing to people in the military to see what's happening. Let's keep going. Lucas Till gives us $2. Pair character doing a shaka sign with his hand saying cool. Francois Deben gives us $5. Thanks for covering this ugly swear word. Incredible that this is happening in Canada. I'm losing faith in my country. Wayne McLaughlin gives us $20. I don't see a super chat. Can Tangled Adian gives us $6.99. It's important to understand that the police don't want to be there. Yeah, I think so too. Officers loathe being assigned to pandemic by law enforcement. They hate it. I can imagine they do. It's probably not at all what they signed up for, especially when they know that there's gangsters running amok in John Tory's Toronto. Solid as a B-ball gives us $5. This is what I was saying the other day. Black people of any political affiliation distrust police. White conservatives now seeing it for themselves. Yes, I do remember that super chat you sent me. Breathing Sunshine gives us $5. While fight the fines is good, what about when they do away with courts? I don't think that's going to happen. Already happening in Alberta with the Provincial Administrative Penalties Act. I haven't looked into that yet, but thank you for putting that on my radar. Are they doing that to expedite things? And if so, are they skipping steps that would provide people constitutional protections? I'm not sure. I'll look into it. Robert Fraser gives us $5. If this doesn't wake up people, nothing will. What a disgrace. Susan Dahmer gives us $2. It's a pair character putting his hand in front of his mouth while blushing. Durfy gives us $20. Thank you very much. It is incredibly irritating to see this Adams get arrested and compare it to Trudeau kneeling with a group that thought it was okay to tear down a statue of John A. Macdonald and gather shoulder to shoulder in the thousands. You know what? Have there been any arrests related to the tearing down of John A. Macdonald statues?
Not one.
Imagine if they had a barbecue. Jose Sanzana gives us $20.99. This reminds me of Chile with Pinochet. When I was arrested and tortured, full-blown communist agenda, wake up Canada, it has just arrived. Nate Jackson, $5. The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of tyrants. It is its natural manure. You know, I have a T-shirt that says that, and I bought an entire Christmas tree, like an artificial Christmas tree, because it was called the Liberty Pine. Nice. You know, I'm subject to marketing that way. Michael A. gives us $6.99. Tory Ford, the police allowing themselves to be used as political shock troops, and their obedient, compliant media are so beyond disgraceful. Rough Times gives us $5. Thank you for your dedication to make sure Western civilization and liberalism doesn't go without a fight. Your friend in the U.S., keep it up. Thank you very much. Mr. Hammerdance gives us $5.56. Absolute, the most disgusting up thing I have ever seen in this country. Sic vis pacem parabellum. Ezra, I don't know Latin. What is that?
Sic vis pacem parabellum. how this goes. Let me check it. The war. I think I don't know. I'm not going to guess. I never took Latin.
Bellum is war. I know that from the gun.
If you want peace, prepare for war. Yeah, pace is peace. If you want peace, prepare for. Paratus. There. You know what? Sorry, I should never try and translate a language I do not know. Please forgive me. If you want peace, prepare for war. I'm so embarrassed that I tried to translate that. I've never studied Latin. Why did I think I could translate that?
I really should. I'm Catholic, so I probably should. But I don't. All the Latin I ever learned was on like the crest of the gun tartan. That's all I know. The 18X gives us 388 support independent media. Thank you. You just did. Ammo C9M, $5. Watch Next the Cops Will Waco Adams Building. Won't be a surprise. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case, but boy, they sure were overstepping their police authority by changing the locks and then blocking people from entering. Colombo gives us $20. No super chat. Devin Spittle, $5. This is a turning point. Let's see where people stand after this. Boy, I sure hope so. Sure seems like a flashpoint, doesn't it?
You know what? There are two worlds, Sheila. I think people used to be on a bell curve. There was a lot of common ground, and then it was the fringes. I think it's now what they call a bimodal distribution. You have people on the left, people on the right, and not a lot of common ground. There's not a lot of people in the middle, is what I'm saying. And so when that correspondent says, this is a wake-up call for our bell curve, but there's an opposite and equal bell curve that their message they're taking is, the one nail sticking up was hammered down as it should be. They should have tasered him. They should have Waco'd him. So I feel like we're coming apart a bit. And I say this, at least in Toronto, the city of scolds, city of fear, city of snitches and informants, the city of John Tory. So I think there will be millions of people thrilled to see this uppity blue-collar man thinking he can do what the fancy pants CEO of Walmart can do. Hey, Justin, did you get those vids I sent you? They were sent to tips@rebelnews.com, and I just flipped you an email. Maybe it's 9 megs. Someone inside the restaurant just sent us vids, and I wanted to interrupt the flow here because
please.
If you have access to the tips@rebelnews.com feed, I think I just flipped them to you. Perfect. So just let us know when you got those. Oh, you got them ready? Yeah, let's play one at a time. So Sheila, start.
They're trying to arrest Adam.
All right, that's the first video from inside the store. I think we've got 3 videos all told. Is that right, Justin? Okay, here's the next one. Take a look, see.
I don't know either. Oh, where's the line?
Cut a hole in the wall and let us in. God bless you! Freedom! God bless you! God bless you, Adamson. Here, bar this door, guys. Your group
And we got one more. I tell you, what a strange thing. You've got riot police, you got 50 cops, you got handcuffing, and you got people just wanting to have lunch with their families. Lots of, not just guys, but gals, and there were some kids there too. Do you have one more vid? Very interesting video from the inside. Justin, can you get Efron to stitch those together and post them online, social media? Show people. I don't know. Look at the email. Who sent those to us? I didn't catch the name. Whoever sent it in, thank you for that. I have thousands of emails here. I know. Someone named this from Peter. That's from. Just I don't have a last name. That's Peter sent those in. So if they are indeed his vids, we'll give him credit. We'll just say Peter. Surreal, eh? I mean, I've been to protests, and you and I have both noted sometimes there's family-friendly protests, typically on the right, and then there's sort of wild Antifa, Black Lives Matter, violent protests on the left.
Yep.
And there's some things you bring your kids to and some things you don't, right? This was a barbecue. This is a restaurant. So families are there, kids are there. It's the cops who escalated with the riot police and the cops who got crazy with the handcuffing. By what right do you handcuff someone for breaking some bylaw? I've never even heard of that before. You arrest someone for a violent crime. You arrest someone if they're physically resisting something. By what right did the police handcuff him and frog march him away? I do not know the answer to that.
Well, and aren't these COVID violation tickets like parking tickets? Mm-hmm. This is like being handcuffed for a parking ticket. That's what happened to one of our Fight the Fines cases, right. Bridget Carlson.
Right.
She was handcuffed and stuffed in a cop car. And that was one of the, key issues we had with her case was that, you don't handcuff someone for a parking ticket or, a traffic fine. But that's what's happening here.
Sheila, there's a hullabaloo here at the studio, and that can only mean one thing. David the Menzoid Menzies is back from restaurant headquarters. So I'm going to scooch over. We'll stay on the line with you, Sheila, so don't go anyway. We're just miking up David, who looks in good form. Do you want a bottle of water or something? Yeah, if someone's listening in the rest of the shop, let's get David a bottle of water. Just because he's been talking. He's probably hoarse from talking and being outside. Eitan or Efron, if you get someone in.
Barbecue war reporter.
Yeah, it's like a war report. Well, I think you were pushed and knocked around, I heard a little bit there. All right, he's just putting his microphone on, folks. Stay where you are. Don't go away. We got David in the house, and I'll scooch over. And here we come. Yeah, just grab the chair there. I'm going to move over a little bit. And we're there. Yeah, we got to stick close together because we got the one camera. So don't worry, we're gonna switch the shot. We're gonna fix the shot so the two of us are in. Hey, how you doing? Is it raining out there?
It is. It's a beautiful sunny day. The sun's come up just when everything went.
How do you like us to sit, Justin? So we're both in the shot. We're just going to fix this. People stay with. There we go. There we go. And can we split the screen with Sheila? Wow. Is that possible to do? Boy, I'm making a lot of demands on the go here.
I feel like a big man on campus. You dumped Sheila for me. Unbelievable.
You know what? We would. Margaret, that would be great. Thank you very much. Sheila, hey, folks, don't worry about you. Justin is like a guy, just if you want to walk around that side there. Thank you very much, Margaret. That's great. Thanks for bringing those in. He's this hardworking guy.
Margaret's the best.
There you go. Thank you, Margaret. And Sheila, don't go away. My friends, we just, we're a shoestring operation compared to CBC, for example. So we got one guy, Justin, who's switching the cameras, sending us the super chats, getting the videos, putting the photos up. So we've got him doing about 20 things at once. So Sheila, please don't go away. But David, thank you for going down there.
Yes.
You just got back here. We talked to you a little bit. We had a little trouble hearing you, but I did take some notes. Why don't you give us a report from scratch on the day?
Absolutely. Well, it began in the wee hours of the morning, Ezra, when the city and the police went down to Adamson BBQ and they changed the locks. And I believe he was told, if you get another locksmith in to switch it around again, you're going to be under arrest. They did leave one door unlocked, and the ostensible reason for that was for him to pick up any belongings, maybe any food that was in the fridge, etc. Well, Adam, as you know, Adam Skelly, the owner, he doesn't bend the knee. He wasn't going to pack his bags and leave. He went there with the full intention of firing up the grill and cooking, which is what he did. Now, as the hours went on, you had customers and supporters, the anti-lockdown types, right, who were coming there to show solidarity. And the police presence, which was pretty significant, it grew and grew. And when we put up the visuals, Ezra, you won't believe it. Folks, it looked like there was an active shooting going on.
It looked like 50 cops.
Oh, more. I think there were more than 50 police cruisers. It looked like a dealership of police SUVs as we walked back to the Costco. And the Costco, of course, packed parking lot. That was the total dichotomy. Here you had all hell breaking loose, Ezra. You had police, you had all these protesters, and the mayor obviously using a bazooka to take out a mosquito, to shut down this little mom and pop restaurant, and this giant aircraft hangar-sized Costco superstore, business as usual. Now, what happened is that you see that door behind the mounted unit around 12:20, I would say, Ezra, is when you saw the door being kicked in reverse. In other words, the people indoors were kicking it out. And once that door opened, there was a sea of humanity going in and the police trying to prevent it.
Wow. Right? And people just pushed by the cops.
Yeah, and then the cops started pushing back. That's when I did my tumble. I'm not going to blame the officer. He was just literally pushing back again. So a few dozen people did get into the restaurant, and then it was a human wall of police officers. And then within minutes, to my shock, the mounted unit comes, and I wouldn't say charging in, but it was a brisk gallop. And it was very concerning, Ezra, because there were children there. And that could have led to a really nasty situation. These are giant horses. I haven't had a good experience with animals lately, with that dog in the park. But that was really terrifying for a lot of people. And then more mounted unit came. And as you can see in that picture, this is what I left, by the way. The mounted unit, along with the police, forming a horse and human chain to prevent anyone else from getting into that restaurant. Now, Adam did come out. Lincoln, our photographer, Johnny on the spot, he did great work today. And he shot the takedown of
I saw him in the, yeah. Do we have Lincoln's footage here? Not yet. We'll get it when we can, and we'll show it. I saw he was walking backwards in front of Adam being walked forward. That's going to be amazing footage.
Yes, and really, it was funny because Lincoln was part of the sea of humanity pushed into the restaurant. I was the part that got pushed to the gutter, but it worked out great because Lincoln was in the right place at the right time to capture this. Ezra, I'm outraged. I think this is Mayor Tory's worst day ever as a mayor, as a political leader of anything. It was our best video perhaps in almost 6 years of our history. The way the city square was taken over in June and July by those thugs called Afro-Indigenous Rising, breaking all kinds of laws, but framed as a mostly peaceful protest, even though 11 sections of the Trespass Act was being violated. Plenty of tolerance, plenty of wiggle room for that. But a guy trying to put, meat on the table for his family, he's got a young family, he's just trying to survive. It is just despicable, this show of force that we saw. And this is, make no mistake, Ezra, I hope we get the visuals up of just how many police cruisers were there. This was the mayor making an example, of an entrepreneur. The worst nightmare this mayor wants to see is to be continually heckled by the media party. Why aren't you arresting him? Why are you letting these other businesses open up? And his message today to all the hardworking small businessmen and small businesswomen in the city of Toronto is, you SOB, you dare open your doors? We are coming in literally with all the king's men and all the king's horses. We're going to arrest you. We're going to shut you down. Look at that. That's a closed street to traffic, by the way, Ezra. Look at how many police cruisers.
Yeah.
It was like there was a terrorism event going on.
Yeah.
And the terrorism was brisket on a grill for appreciative customers. You know,
there's no smoking gun. There was just smoking meat.
Yes.
Let's bring in 100 cops for it. I haven't seen such a police display since the G20. Very frustrating.
And you know, that was the only thing missing, speaking of G20 of 10 years ago,
kettling.
Ezra, is that the police didn't do a kettling, didn't, wrap themselves around the protesters and haul everybody away in paddy wagons, because that's what they did on day 2 of the G20. I remember it well. On day 1, they let the black bloc, the Antifa types, even torch police cruisers. Stand off, stand off. That was our great police chief, Bill Blair, now our Minister of Public Safety. And on day 2, it was arrest anyone. And I'll never forget that poor guy, I think it was a World Cup year, he was just walking to the pub to watch the Brazil game, and suddenly he's kennelled and arrested just for walking to a pub. That was the only thing missing from this today in comparison to G20, Ezra.
Yeah, that's crazy. Is Sheila still on the line? Can we bring her in on a split screen, or is it not really, unfortunate? Well, let's flip to her. Why don't you flip to her? And Sheila, do you have any, thanks, Sheila. Do you have any, we're doing this in real time here. We weren't even thinking we'd be online right now, but there's so much going on. Sheila, David's in the studio. I think you heard what he just said. Do you have any questions for him, and do you want to put anything to him? Oh, I don't have the audio there. Do we have audio, Justin?
Sorry, that's my fault. I had my microphone muted because I was eating pickles and I didn't want you guys to hear me crunching. It's lunchtime. Anyway, David, I noticed that the police had the street blocked off at the end of the street. I noticed 2 cruisers in some of the footage. Were the police keeping people away behind their cruisers up the street there? Because it looked like you had a pretty large crowd.
No, I'm sure the delight of Greta Thunberg, if you were a cyclist or a pedestrian or on a skateboard, you could walk and join the protest. But vehicle traffic was closed off, and a police officer said this was done out of public safety. There was just too many cars.
It's probably true.
I think so. Yep. You know what? It was getting a little hairy traffic-wise, and I'm sure the mainstream media was right royally pissed, Ezra, because they couldn't bring in their live-eye trucks either. So they were just impeding vehicle traffic, not pedestrian traffic.
This is a great way to set it up, Justin. We have Sheila looming over the two of us like a fairy godmother, our guardian angel. Oh, we're gone now. We're gone. No, I like it. Put it. Yeah, well. I like it. That's a mistake. I like that mistake. It's a mistake-opportunity. That's a mistake-opportunity.
She's like a giantess, Giganta from DC Comics.
No, I like it. Sheila, I cut you off because David doesn't have an earpiece in, so I was just repeating for him your question. But go ahead, ask him something else.
David, I know Adam yesterday in your footage, I was watching some of your raw footage yesterday. He was very respectful with the police yesterday. He made sure that everybody was quiet so that the police could say their piece. Now it was up to people whether they were going to listen to the police or not. Again today, when they came and got him, he didn't resist arrest, did he?
Adam Skelly, the proprietor, very polite to police. In my mind, he was too deferential to them, frankly, yesterday. And Sheila asks, was it the same today? Did he put up any resistance whatsoever when he was arrested?
No. As soon as he was out of the building, I think the line in the sand that was crossed was the door being kicked in, and he had been warned before not to change the locks, break the locks. So as soon as he was outside, that's when they did it. Make no mistake, Sheila and Ezra, this is, as I said before, this is the mayor with what he thinks is his back against the wall. I can tell you the vast majority of mainstream media coverage, with the exception of our good friend Joe Warmington, the scrawler, the narrative is, how dare he put the public at risk? What the hell are the police doing? Mayor Tory, Premier Ford, why are you allowing this to happen? And the perversity, I can't stress it enough, guys. 4 football fields away, there's that Costco packed to the gills. You think social distancing is happening there? I know it isn't, because I had a photograph sent to me showing the complete opposite of a Costco, the way they're handling the crowds. It's business as usual at Costco. Oh, I'm sorry, not business as usual. It's business as usual on steroids, because the premier, guys, has basically outlawed Costco's competition, with exceptions like Walmart. All the small guys, you are locked down, you are smacked down. If you want to buy anything, you've got to go to one of these huge multi-billion multinational companies. What a disgrace. And yet, look at the show of force. That was completely unnecessary. Those were not violent people. Even there were even chants of "back the blue" to show that they supported the police. This was all theater, political theater for John Tory, warning all the tax-paying, law-abiding citizens: you dare join this protest, you dare open up illegally. This is what you got coming. Just dare me.
One more question for you, David. I know in your footage yesterday, Councillor Grimes was there to make sure that the police did John Tory's bidding. He had called for people to come, citizens to come and block the entrance to the restaurant, or at least that's what Joe Warmington said, and I trust Joe Warmington in that. Was Grimes back again to make sure that John Tory's bidding was done? And also, just one thing I noticed in your footage from yesterday with Grimes, he's there scolding the barbecue place, making sure it gets closed down because of social distancing and blah, blah, blah. But he took down his mask to stand within 18 inches of you to do an interview. And I think that's a violation of the rules.
The local councillor who hates Adam Skelly, who called for the public to blockade, who says he's for masks but took his mask down to talk to you, because it's more important that he's quoted in the media than to follow these rules. The rules are for the little people. Sheila says, was he there? Were people there to block the front? I would be amazed if anyone would come to block the front. I mean, his people would be hiding under the bed with their masks or something. I don't know what. But do you have any response to
Yes, I did not see Councillor Grimes there today, Ezra. Secondly, there were people blocking already, all right, but they were blocking the door, preventing the police from coming in. And as far as the anti Adamson BBQ protest, I would say that would be the rank and file of the mainstream media. Boy, did they get an earful for the third day in a row.
I bet. And, that'll only fuel their vengeance on Skelly. By the way, about 90 minutes ago, we put up a website called freeadamskelly.com. Justin, you want to throw that on screen for a minute? As of this moment, it has 4,356 signatures. Actually, can you refresh that? Because I think it's even higher. You just did, eh? All right, so if you haven't gone to that petition yet, and David, I think you're going to deliver this petition. I don't know who you're going to deliver to. I don't want you to get arrested. Oh, we got more even just while we're sitting here. Folks, if you haven't gone to this petition yet, David, who do you think would be the best person to deliver this petition to?
I would say Mayor Tory. This has Tory's filthy fingerprints all over it. This was, I don't even know if the video can really convey how much of an overkill this was. This was theater. This is the kind of thing you see, folks, at a Banana Republic or in North Korea.
A strong man showing he's strong.
That's right.
We've played it twice already today, but I want to play it a third time. When John Tory was on TV with a member of the media party, they were colluding in real time, in public, how they were going to work together. John Tory said, you guys in the media shouldn't be giving him positive coverage. The guy in the media says, well, but then you've got to arrest him so we don't have to cover him. And John Tory says, well, I would expect that to happen forthwith. And they both sort of say, all right, we're friends and allies. Let's get this son of a bitch together. If you think I'm exaggerating one stitch, one jot, one iota, then feast your peepers on this.
To our behavior at Christmas.
Mayor John Tory, we will leave it there today, and we'll all wait and watch to see what plays out at Adamson BBQ today at 11 when that is supposed to open. Have a productive day. We'll chat with you again Friday.
don't give this guy too much publicity. You know, it's a political, but a lot of this is a political stunt. So, you know,
Absolutely.
let's be careful about that. We make a hero
but I mean,
out
that's
of this
the
guy
thing.
when, in fact,
If the police had
he's
shut it
thumbing his
down,
nose at the system.
if the police had shut it down quickly yesterday, we wouldn't have given them that much publicity. That's part of the whole problem, right? I mean, the longer this is allowed to stay open, the longer we have to cover it.
I don't think it'll be open for long today, if at all. It shouldn't be open at all if this man was any kind of a respectful citizen and a person who really wanted to, respect the best interests of his fellow Torontonians.
All right, Mayor Tory, appreciate you joining us. We'll chat again soon.
John Tory calling Adam Skelly a political stunt, and then he deploys more than 100 cops himself. I just want to say, some of the super chatters are saying, hey, here's some dough, give it to Adam Skelly. I want to let you know, I don't want to disclose my private correspondence, but I think you have a copy of it. I wrote a letter to Adam Skelly yesterday offering our assistance in any way, whether it's lawyers, whether it's crowdfunding, which is our specialty, and you passed on that message to him personally, didn't you?
Oh, absolutely. The tragedy here, Ezra, as we talked about, we weren't the first to offer legal services, so he is lawyered up. The extra tragedy of
That's not a tragedy. If he has a good lawyer, he has a good lawyer.
Oh,
but
and I think he does have good lawyers.
Yeah.
That's not the tragedy. The tragedy is who's going to pay the piper. I don't think to this date there's been a GoFundMe page set up for him. There's people saying, yeah, we'll set it up. Well, saying it and doing it are two different things. I know, Ezra, much like what we did for Millie, if we had set this up on Monday, we'd probably be into the six figures by now, easy, to help this guy. I hope whoever is handling that, if there is someone handling it, and it's not just talk, because Adam Skelly needs our help, and he deserves our help.
Yeah.
He's taken a stance here. And, I just want to go back to what Mayor Tory said. It's so telling, isn't it, Ezra, that, hey, media, could you turn off your cameras and your audio recorders and not give this any publicity? I don't like this little wart on the city's rump being exposed. And I say it's funny because when it comes to transparency, Ezra, you, for months, going back to when the pandemic first began, were going through the City of Toronto pandemic counts, the positive counts, the deaths, etc., going through that data. Sheila did a fantastic video the other day, which indicated that suddenly all that data, all that transparency disappeared. And we went to ask, A, why is that data not available anymore? And B, who made the call? And what was it? They need over 800 hours of research and $25,000 to give us the answer to those two simple questions?
yeah, like I said before, John Tory, I mean, we got to have a contest here called Canada's Worst Mayor. And I'm going to make the case that it's John Tory. I know Victoria has a strong case. Calgary and Edmonton have a strong case.
Yep.
Montreal has a strong case. Ottawa is strong. I think it's John Tory,
Yeah.
and I think I'm going to win as the advocate for that.
He won it today, Ezra.
Now, I do see there is a GoFundMe for, but
I spoke
I
too
don't think it's, I don't know if it's official, and it's at $29,000. It's by someone named Barry McNamara, who I don't know if there's any connection. And so I set up crowd funds all the time, but my rule of thumb is don't crowd for someone unless you have their permission. And so with Millie Weaver, when she was arrested and thrown in jail, obviously I couldn't get her permission, she was in jail, but I spoke to her best friend and I spoke to her employer and they said, please do it. That was enough for me. I don't know if this Barry McNamara crowd fund has approval, is authoritative, so I don't want to say, hey, go there. I don't know who he is.
Yes.
I think I know a Barry McNamara. If it's the same guy I know, I think he's a good egg.
Well, that's good.
I just can't speak to him.
Yeah.
And generally, if you're fundraising for someone, you want to be in touch with them and have their. So I'm not bad-mouthing this crowdfunding campaign. I just don't know if it's official or connected to them. And there's also a risk with crowd funds that are done in a certain way for someone who's breaking the law. Sometimes GoFundMe shuts it down if some leftist says, hey, you're doing that to support law breaking. It has to be phrased correctly. I think this might be phrased correctly for the legal defense. Yeah. I can't speak to it anymore. I'm just saying there is a GoFundMe out there, but I don't think it's authoritative. I don't think it's approved. It has raised 30 grand. I think that Adam is going to need much more than that. I think he's going to need more than 100 grand. We have offered to do it. If this is a legit GoFundMe, super.
Yeah.
I just can't. I mean, there's actually several GoFundMes for him. So they can't all be legit. I just am wary of supporting a GoFundMe that doesn't have permission. That's all.
Which kind of makes our point earlier that if only we could have gone to him first.
Well, listen, and if he wants our help, he's got it.
Yeah.
And you know that we help strangers.
Yeah.
We've helped strangers. I actually didn't know Millie other than by reputation before we raised money to help get her out of the clink. Now, do I understand that we've got some footage? We got the arrest footage. Is this from Lincoln walking in front? Yeah. Is Sheila still on the line? Sheila, you still there? She is. All right, well, let's all watch this together. We saw Lincoln jump in front of the cops arresting Adam. I think this is going to be great footage just from what I saw before. Let's take a look now.
Adam, we got your back. Who's gonna feed this guy children? Who's gonna feed his kids? Shame on you, brother! Who's gonna feed his kids?
We need this car! Move back! Get back! He's on my wrist, bro! Get back!
He's a hero. This is a hero.
World-class videography by Lincoln.
Yeah.
Absolutely world-class. Extremely dramatic. Efren, if you see the thieves at the CBC or Global using that footage, let me know. I'm going to sue their pants off. Let me just say, if anyone out there from the Justin Trudeau media uses that, it's $1,000 for every 15-second bite. So I'm just putting the price out there right now. I'm saying to the thieves at the CBC and Global and CTV and CP24, you can use that for every 15 seconds or a portion thereof. It's $1,000. And I'm saying that now because they're going to steal it, and you're damn straight I'm going to sue. That's the best journalism I've seen.
Fantastic, Ezra. And I just want to say to Premier Doug Ford, if I know I'm asking a lot here, Premier, but if you can put down your cherry cheesecake for just 5 seconds and watch that video, and remember what you said in 2018, that your election slogans, you were for the people and Ontario open for business, and just watch how the man who would be Premier, John Tory, has, maybe he's doing your bidding, I don't know, but took a small businessman, one of the people, off to prison in that police cruiser. And all those supporters, who most of them, I can guarantee you this, the vast majority of the people at Adamson BBQ parking lot today, they're who voted you. They voted you in 2018. You call them a bunch of yahoos. They've gone from Ford Nation to Yahoo Nation. I hope you're proud of yourself, because you know what? You were, as the saying goes, not as advertised. Yeah. I'm sorry to say this. And what I've learned too in these recent days, Ezra, is Doug Ford is not Rob Ford. I think the late, great Rob Ford would be rolling in his grave right now if he were to see that footage. He would never treat somebody, and that's right in Etobicoke. That's Ford Nation country, Ezra.
Yeah.
What a disgrace.
And what was he chanting? Small business.
Small business.
Which is amazing. I mean, because the big business is well taken care of. As I've said earlier today, the Walmart CEO at a very high expense hired 2 of Rob Ford's staff, Melissa Landsman, who's actually now seeking the Conservative Party nomination in Thornhill federally. So she's the Walmart candidate. And David Tarrant. So Walmart comes in, hires these 2 Ford staffers, Landsman and Tarrant, pays them an extraordinary amount of money. So it's the gravy train. So Walmart gets a private meeting with the premier and convinces him to let them not only stay open, but to sell all sorts of non-essentials just to hoover up any business from the blue-collar lockdown. So lock down the Adam Skellys, lock down the mom and pop shops, lock them down, lock them down, lock them down, and push all that commerce to Walmart. And who gets rich off it? Melissa Landsman and David Tarrant, oily lobbyists. I know both of them. And Melissa Landsman's running for the Conservative Party candidacy in Thornhill. Is she sponsored by Walmart? Is she sponsored by Jeff Bezos and Amazon.com? Because what they did by arranging that meeting is take bread off the table of every small family business and gave it to one of the largest corporations in America, and I hope they sleep soundly on their silk pillows, and they count their money and they roll around in their money from Walmart. And I hope that Doug Ford counts his Politico donations and enjoys his Christmas invitations from the Walmarts and the Costcos and the Amazons in the world. And maybe the tinkling of their champagne glasses will drown out the sounds of Adam Skelly being sent to jail saying small business, 400 feet down the road, 400 meters down the road, a Costco was serving food, and I bet you those media party journalists went straight there afterwards to get themselves a Costco hot dog, fries, or pizza after demanding, like a baying mob, that Adam be sent to jail. What a disgrace. Outstanding journalism by Lincoln Jay. That may be the finest action journalism we've shown ever since we caught the Gilets jaunes in Paris at the Arc de Triomphe.
I'm just going to mention that. Yes, with our former
unbelievable. And I say again, the media party's welcome to have that footage for $1,000 per 15-second bite. And I'm saying that because I'm making public the tariff, because I will in fact sue those thieves when they take it.
Well, we have been ripped off in the past, Ezra, and what you just said, I couldn't say it better, boss. And I just want to make one other point here. The reason why the Walmarts, the Loblaws, the Costcos of the world are allowed to open up is because they sell groceries. And, people do need to eat. But they sell a lot of other things, too, including clothing, flowers, shoes, you name it. And when the Premier the other day, Ezra, was asked, Premier, why can't it be that a Walmart or a Costco keep the supermarket portion of their store open, but to level the playing field for the people that sell shoes and clothing and flowers, that those areas are roped off? What he said, Ezra, was, oh, well, that's impossible. That would be a logistical nightmare given the layout of these stores. Really? A logistical nightmare? Walmart and Costco are all about logistics. And we just saw how logistics can be perverted here today, didn't we, folks? You send in the police, you send in the mounted unit. I wonder if they'd do that. Don't you dare, Ezra, leave the produce section to go get a pair of loafers, because we got the Mayor Tory's horses and police on standby in case you dare buy a pair of shoes. I can't take this hypocrisy and this double standard anymore.
Yeah, it's outrageous. And of course, we're not calling for Walmart to be locked down.
No.
But that would be what a level playing field looks like. And that's what that Kenny apology is like. Do you have that Kenny apology from earlier today? Alberta foolishly listened to the baying mobs of the staycation party. People who have loved the last 7 months, they've never lost a day's pay. They probably have had months off that they stay home, catch up on the Netflix shows. They order in DoorDash. They're loving it from home. And so, yeah, they want this to continue. And if working class folks have to be locked down, that's their problem. Alberta followed that mob for a bit. And watch this amazing statement by Jason Kenney yesterday, where he admits how unfair and punitive that was. Here's Kenney yesterday talking about the Melissa Lantsman, David Tarrant, Doug Ford style punitive lockdown on the little people. Take a look.
Let me say something. We need to acknowledge, as we go through COVID, when we have made mistakes. This government made, I think, a grave mistake in the spring when we made, frankly, I think a stupidly arbitrary distinction between essential and non-essential retail businesses that had the unintended consequence of allowing Walmarts and Costco's to sell darn near everything because they have a grocery section or they sell pharmaceuticals, while shutting down thousands and thousands of retail small and medium-sized businesses. I talked about the fifth generation family in my remarks with this running a store in rural Alberta. 100% of their business went to the big U.S.-owned box store down the street, or of course online, for 10 weeks because of that frankly stupid mistake that we made, for which I apologize. We tried to undo that as quickly as we saw realized it and saw the impact. But we are not doing that now, unlike other provinces that have done that.
You don't see a politician say, I apologize, we were stupid very often. Ralph Klein would do it once every 5 years and people said, wow. Doug Ford, it seems incapable of doing it. He is so corrupted by what his late brother Rob would call the gravy train. We saw the true face of small business in Ford Nation. How ironic that Ford Nation is no longer led by a Ford, but by a guy named Adam Skelly. Hey, can you please show us how free Adam Skelly is doing again? Last we checked, it was what, 4,000 or something? It was how much, sorry? It's 6,400 right now.
Wow.
What was it when we checked before?
4 something.
I think since I mentioned it last, we've had 2,000 more people sign free Adam Skelly. Oh, by the way, can you get Eitan or someone to put that amazing Lincoln J footage embedded on this page too? Because that's incredible. I think that can even go above that little YouTube embed there. Sheila, let's bring you in. You've been waiting patiently out far west there. Did you see that footage by Lincoln of the arrest of Adam Skelly?
I did. And I guess those are the benefits of being part of the barbecue press gallery and telling the other side of the story as opposed to the other journalists who had to wait across the street because they're a bunch of liars using their long telephoto lenses. Great hustle by Lincoln. I know he's new to the team, but boy, he saw something happening and he went right for it. And, to see Adam Skelly as he's being taken away in handcuffs, and again, very reminiscent of watching footage of the freedom farmers being taken away from their wives and children in handcuffs for the crime of selling their own weed. He was still chanting for other people. He was chanting for small business, that he is going to pay a personal cost for this. Taken away in handcuffs. I'm sure his wife is worried sick. His family's probably worried sick. But he's out there being an activist for all the other small businesses on that street that Doug Ford and John Tory have decided are not essential. That for those families this Christmas, giving gifts to each other and paying the bills and keeping a roof over their head during the times of COVID, that's not essential. Adam Skelly was thinking about those people before those cops pushed him on the head and stuffed him into a cop car.
And it's got to be said too, we hear from the Fords, the Tories, the Trudeaus, that all of their decisions are being based on medical reasons, on scientific reasons, and they're reaching out to the experts there. But a few weeks ago, even the World Health Organization, we're hardly fans of the WHO, but even a broken clock is correct twice a day. They said going the lockdown route is not the way to flatten this curve. The World Health Organization. Who are these medical authorities, these scientists, these doctors, that they are reaching out to get this advice of shutting down the economy that way? And as I should point out, it's not a complete shutdown. If you're a multi-billion multinational conglomerate, hey, Bob's your uncle. You can open 24/7 if you wish. But if you're little Adam Skelly, we will crush you like a bug. Where is this advice coming from? Who's giving it?
Yeah. You know, there is a public health deep state. What do I mean by that? I mean people that are not voted out. They're not voted in, so how could they be voted out? People whose interests endure. You know, let's use an example. Justin, can you go to the Sunshine List of Ontario? Do you know the name of the public health officer, the chief public health officer of Ontario again? I just forgot it.
Oh, David Williams?
David Williams,
Yep.
thank you very much. Do you know how to do that, Justin? I want to show you. I know the answer. David Williams, the public health officer of Ontario, makes more than $400,000 a year. That's more than Doug Ford does. That's more than Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister, does. Why? Well, why not? Oh, how dare you? It's in your interest. Public health will suffer if David Williams does not make $400,000 per year. To reach and the thing is, these public health officers, there's one in every province, every territory, every city, every health authority. There's got to be, I'm not even kidding, 50, 100 public, and then they have the deputy public health officers and the assistant public health officers. And Justin, I know I'm sending you on these goose chases, but if you go to the Sunshine List in Ontario, I know this because I looked at, I think it's like $412,000 a year. So these people have a tremendous interest in keeping their power, their bureaucracy, and they've been loving the last 7 months. People obey them. Some of them get to be TV stars.
Oh, yeah.
And now some blue-collar guy who probably doesn't even have a sociology degree is daring to question the great high priests of the era.
How true.
You know, there's a difference between, in fact, there couldn't be more of a difference between a doctor who sees patients and a, quote, public health doctor. In fact, I have never heard of a conservative public health doctor. It's not a thing. You go into public health if you see people as ants in an ant colony and you want to arrange things for that, as opposed to you go into medicine to serve a patient, pay attention to that patient's needs, and do what's in that patient's interest. There could not be a larger philosophical or ideological divide between a politician with an MD, which is what a public health officer is, and a real doctor. Yeah, thank you. Perfect. Thank you, Justin. As always, coming through. Zoom in if you can. There it is, David Williams, $413,000. The Chief Medical Officer of Health in Ontario, $413,000. And that was last year. I'm sure he's getting a nice COVID bump up this year. He's loving it. Don't mess with the public health deep state.
Oh, and he was about to retire at the end of the year, but they begged him to stay on until at least May, and he graciously accepted.
Yeah.
And in Toronto, the public health head honcho, Ezra, as you know, is Eileen Davila. I have to be very careful saying her name because often I call her Cruella Davila. I think that's from some cartoon or something. But the thing is, if you look at the Toronto Public Health Notice at...
she's making only $309,000.
Amateur hour. But you know what? I think the level of spite here in terms of putting the boots to Adam Skelly, when you go and you look at the notice in the window of Adamson BBQ, none other than Dr. Davila is the one who signed that, the chief public health officer. So you know there are things going on behind the scenes of very powerful people to really quash the hopes and dreams of this man, and it is despicable. He's just trying to sell a sandwich. There it is. There you go. There's her signature right there. And so she can make over $300K, no problem there. But for Adam Skelly trying to make brisket for appreciative customers, and you're not forced to go there, Ezra. Yeah. You can make that choice.
I think everyone should choose their own fear level.
Yeah.
If you're so afraid you want to stay in your house, fill your boots.
Exactly.
If you want to wear a mask, help yourself. If you want to wear a scuba gear, if you want to dress like an astronaut, you go ahead. And you know what? I'm sorry if you feel that way, because that's not a nice way to live. But don't impose your fear level on me, and don't mistake your fear for some virtue. And you know what? You know that gal, what's her face on YouTube? Do you know what I'm talking about? I've been trying to contact this young lady because I'll tell you right now, I would hire her in a second. I don't know her name. She's on Instagram, she's on YouTube, she's on Patreon, but no contact information, no email, no phone number, no name. In fact, that's sort of her shtick. Her screen name is What's Her Face, which is very funny because it's like, say, oh, can you load up What's Her Face? Who? No, What's Her Face? Yeah, I know who. And yeah, can you put it on behind us so we can do a live reaction? Let me tell you, I'd give her more credit if I knew how. Frankly, I'd give her a job offer if I knew how. I sent her a message on Instagram. I've never used Instagram before. I'm probably doing it wrong. Do you know the one I mean? Yeah, and just keep David and me up there, and let's just roll it in the background.
Oh, my apologies. I was wearing my mask because I just got back from a full day of being a good person. I love my mask because it's a simple yet effective way to display my righteousness. Am I concerned that 2 children in China dropped dead because they were forced to wear masks in gym class? Nope. Am I concerned that we're creating a generation of children who will be socially awkward and conditioned to fear their fellow man? No. Am I concerned that I'm contributing to an impending socialist technocracy that will enslave the global population? Not even a little bit. Am I concerned that my mask is symbolic of my compliance to the social conditioning that will eventually lead to the forced vaccination of every man, woman, and child on planet Earth? Not a chance. And why am I not concerned, you ask? I'm not concerned because I decided a long time ago that shallow, insignificant gestures are a much easier way to showcase my morality than actually being moral. Because in order to be a real good person, I gotta stand up to a real bad person. And I don't like standing up to or for anything. I've decided that it's much easier to trick my own mind into thinking compliance is a virtue instead of what compliance actually is: cowardice. I prefer to float through life completely ignorant to the fact that every socialist takeover has always begun in the exact same way, with government overreach, public shaming, censorship, and a toilet paper shortage. Don't believe me? Google toilet paper shortage in communist Russia. Did you think you were having a unique experience? I prefer to pretend history never repeats itself so that I can stand by and turn a blind eye every time history repeats itself. I prefer to call anyone who speaks up, fights back, or stands their ground a lunatic or a conspiracy theorist so that I don't feel obligated to do my own research. Research takes away from me time. And lastly, I prefer to put on my mask and stand among a sea of masks so that I never have to be seen, be free, or reveal the deep dark shadows that lurk within me.
She's feisty.
You know, she's feisty, she's funny, she's telegenic.
Yep.
I like that accent. It's just a slight Canadian accent. You know, it's a little bit of Bob and Doug McKenzie there. If she was American, I'd say she's from North Dakota or Minnesota. So it sounds like she might be from Western Ontario. I like that gal. And if anyone knows who that is, let me know, because my God, she's going to make videos for Rebel News.
Oh yeah, I agree. And you know, it's funny too, Ezra. Today in the U.S., it's American Thanksgiving. Tomorrow's Black Friday. It'll be severely limited, I'm sure, by which stores you can go into. But you know what? Don't worry, folks, because on Monday, that's Cyber Monday, and you can get onto your Made in China computer, and you can go to a whole bunch of stores that offer Made in China merchandise, and Jeff Bezos via Amazon will deliver it to you, becoming even a greater billionaire. So there's no blackness for the Amazons of the world, is there? You know, as people, Americans will be forced to shop at home on Cyber Monday as opposed to going into the malls on Black Friday.
You know, I say again, just yesterday we saw that news. that Doug Ford's right-hand woman and right-hand man, Melissa Lantzman and David Tarrant, got paid big bucks by Walmart to arrange a lobbyist sit-down with Doug Ford to ensure that Walmart would be allowed to sell anything while the little people were shut down. And nothing shows the end of so-called Ford Nation more than that. Yeah. When Doug Ford lashed out at the weekly protesters and called them yahoos, all right, fine, it was an emotional reaction. He doesn't know how to handle criticism from the right. When he later called people stupid and said he wanted to arrange an MRI for them, it was embarrassing because it wasn't even a funny joke or a clever insult. Again, it just showed a brittle man who doesn't know how to handle dissonance. Yeah. But those, fine. I mean, you know, we're all caught flat-footed when we're trying to come up with a bon mot. But meeting with the president of Walmart and scheming in private with him, along with two well-paid lobbyists, to destroy Ford Nation and give the wealth to one of the largest American companies, Walmart. I have no beef with Walmart. Yeah. I shop at Walmart, okay? I have no hatred for Walmart. But why the ever-loving God does Walmart get preferential treatment to Adam Skelly? Well, you know why? Because of the goddamn gravy train. Absolutely. And if Rob Ford was, it's not just Doug. It's those around him. Yep. The lobbyists, the gravy around him is so gross. And when I heard and I used to know Melissa Lantzman, that Walmart lockdown lobbyist, that the lockdown lobbyist is now seeking a nomination for the federal conservatives in Thornhill. Any conservative who votes for lockdown Lantzman deserves to lose. 100%. Deserves another 4 years in opposition. Lockdown Lantzman.
And Ezra, can I just say what the perverse irony here is? What do you want to bet that Melissa Lantzman probably hasn't stepped foot in a Walmart in a decade? Yeah. That's for the great unwashed mass. Ooh, those brands? No. I'm about designer labels. I go to little boutiques, at least when they're open. Well, so I'll go online, of course, and shop there. She wouldn't be caught dead, with the great unwashed masses in a Walmart. But you know what? They pay nicely. At least head office in Arkansas does, right? So, hey, bring it on, I guess.
Justin, you just said something in my ear. You said do you have a source for this information? Save Express Fitness. And you were going to go there today, am I right?
You are indeed correct. I'm going to, after the live stream, I'm going to reach out, see if the owner, I think his opening was short-lived. I think he was already, I guess, read the riot act by the police. So that's one of the reports I heard, Ezra. But I'm going to phone him and see what.
Can you pump this up? It looks like they were evicted. That's what Justin's telling me.
Oh.
Notice to tenants. Take notice that 1399 Kennedy Road, by authorized agent, has taken distress against your goods, chattels, and inventory pursuant to the lease for rent arrears and additional rent arrears owing in the sum of $35,042. Take further notice that if you do not within 5 days from the date of service binding the notice, replevy the same goods and chattels by paying the arrears or rent aforesaid, the said goods. And so this is another way of saying, hey, gym owner, you didn't pay your rent. You owe us 35 grand. As the landlord, we have the right to seize all your stuff. You can free your stuff if you, can you put it back up? Because I'm going to read the third paragraph too. If you can free your stuff if you pay the 35. If not, we can auction it off. And further take notice that should it be necessary for the protection of your goods and chattels and for the protection of the landlord's rights, that said goods be removed and stored in a safe place, and or the lock of the entry said be changed, but notwithstanding, blah, blah, blah. This is not a forfeiture of the distress. Like, okay, let me sum up the fancy legalese. A gym just went out of business because of the lockdown. Everything else is commentary. Yep. They owed 35 grand to the landlord. Am I angry at the landlord for shutting them down? How could I be? The timing, perhaps today this gym was supposed to open in a last-ditch effort to stay alive. I can't blame a landlord for wanting to collect the rent. I'm not thrilled that the landlord took action. Who took the stuff outside? This is from the gym's Instagram page.
Oh my God.
So this is their stuff outside. Now I don't quite understand, because what I just read there, I read it very quickly. We're reaching out in support. So maybe they took their equipment outside and the landlord said, yikes, these guys owe me 35 grand in rent. I got to seize this equipment and auction it off, or I'm going to be out 35 grand. Frankly, I don't know what the market is for used gym equipment. I'd be surprised if you got half your money out of it.
This is heartbreaking, Ezra. It really is. That's every small business. There's some person's dream behind that business. And yes, you know what, folks, I believe in capitalism, and I believe in Darwinism when it comes to capitalism, survival of the fittest. The point here is that gym owner, Alex, he did nothing wrong. He didn't come up with some kind of business model that was doomed to failure. It was like flawed from the start, and it was going to fail. He had a government step in and say, you cannot open your doors. You cannot stay in business. And by the way, Ezra, it's kind of funny. For decades now, we've had governments urging us, like participation. Remember the 55-year-old Swede being healthier than the 30-year-old Canadian. Get off your ass, get exercising. Do you know how much these healthcare costs are costing your government? So suddenly, that was a way of achieving wellness, for lack of a better word, getting out to a gym and getting in shape. And then this same government, in the name of wellness, says, no, shut your doors, keep people at home in the basement eating cherry cheesecake by order of the premier. What? Give me a break. That's despicable.
Yeah. Sheila just forwarded to us a Twitter. Sorry, it's a reminder of how the police behaved in the summer versus now. Did you get that, Justin? I don't know how that came to me. It's just an image of police taking a knee in front of lawless protesters compared to what they did today. Sorry, I derailed your line of thought there. I just thought that was an interesting video.
It is.
Here's the thing. Running a restaurant is a very difficult business.
100%.
Running a gym is a very difficult business. It's very hard. You put your life savings into it, you put your heart into it.
Yeah.
And like you say, this gym owner did nothing wrong. It's not the virus that killed. Don't ever let someone say the virus killed that gym.
Yeah.
Don't ever let someone say the virus killed that restaurant. The virus did not. John Tory, Doug Ford, whoever ordered the lockdown, these public health, deep state, 400 grand a year people ordered them shut down. You cannot run a business if you have to pay rent, if you borrowed money to lease your equipment, you cannot make a living. It's not just that they did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say that about an accident. Oh, there was a volcano, there was an earthquake, there was a flood, there was a tragedy. This was not an act of God.
Yeah.
This was an unscientific, non-evidence-based, fear, panic order by a government, likely unconstitutional, that just killed that gym.
Yeah.
When you are evicted from your gym, when your equipment is taken by the landlord to auction off to pay, you're done. You're done forever. There's no coming back.
Yeah.
And how many restaurants, there's no coming back. And that equipment, probably mortgaged. We're lucky that we still have a job.
Yeah, we are.
Because we're not in the public health deep state. We're not the folks having a staycation. You've worked 7 days a week for 7 months now. I'm very frustrated by all this. Yeah. What's the count at our petition now, Justin? The Free Adam. I'm sorry, I'm just depressed by that, because you were going to go out to meet those people today.
Yes.
And look at that. 8,300 signatures on that petition.
Fantastic.
That we just started a couple hours ago.
Beautiful.
That's great. We don't know if it's an authentic GoFundMe, so I'm not going to promote a GoFundMe link that I don't know is authentic. It's just, because there's three, by the way. There's three GoFundMes, and we don't know which is which. All right, well, let's play that footage from Lincoln one more time. I thought that was so powerful. And he chants small business. As Sheila points out, even as he was being arrested, he was thinking of other people, not just himself. Take a look at this one more. Outstanding work from Lincoln, our videographer.
Shame on you! Get back! You guys are... Hey! Shame on you! Fucking bitch! What is this, guys? Shame on you! Stop it! Get it off me! Shame on these police! Shame on these police! Look at what they've started now! You're a hero, Adam! I love you guys. Move back! Small business! Small business! Small business! Get back! Shame on you! Shame on you! How does it feel to stop families from feeding their kids? You're stopping them from feeding his kids! Adam, we got your back. Who's gonna feed this guy's children? Who's gonna feed his kids? Shame on you, brother! Who's gonna feed his kids? We need this car! Move back! Get back! He's got my wrist, bro! Get back! I'm just adjusting these guys. Shame on you, brother! Shame on you, brother! Say something. He's a hero. This is a hero.
You know, I feel hopeless, and it's not my business that was ruined. It's not my life savings that was incinerated. I am not the one handcuffed being led away to God knows where. None of these things have actually happened to me, and yet I feel flattened. Because no man is an island, as John Donne wrote. And surely if you have humanity in you, you see what happens to that man and his lovely wife and his two beautiful kids and his community that so obviously supports him. And then you see the forces of violence, for that is what police are at the end of the day, the social contract. We give up to police a monopoly of violence. That's the classic social contract that Thomas Hobbes wrote about in the Leviathan. We all agree to solve our problems peacefully. We all agree that there shall be no violence. The only people authorized to use violence in very limited ways are the police. It's an agreement we all have as society. And we agree that we only use riot horses for riots. Yeah. And we agree that we only use 100 policemen for mass casualty attacks, gangland shootings, terrorist events. We agree to that.
Yeah.
That's the essence of the social contract. I promise you, and you promise me, that we will live with each other peacefully, and we will only resolve our disagreements peacefully and through the courts. And even if someone calls himself mayor, even if someone calls himself police chief, even if someone is a fancy reporter with CP24, they do not exceed the limits of that social contract, and they do not roll out violence. It's just a goddamn ticket. Give the guy his ticket, send a bylaw officer. If he doesn't pay the ticket, take him to court. He has a lawyer. You know what? Fine him, whatever. Why are you bringing, as you said, all the kings? And so what's demoralizing about this, there are thousands of Adam Skellys who have lost their job. We just saw how a gym was flattened. And frankly, the landlord, although I have slightly less sympathy for a landlord, you don't think that landlord's flattened? I should tell you. Yeah. And I don't know if I'm giving things away, but I was talking to our landlord earlier this year. For a great period of time, he said we were the only tenant paying rent.
Wow.
The only tenant, we were the only people paying rent. Maybe I shouldn't give away confidences, but people don't know who I'm talking about.
You know, and Ezra, I just want to
So I have some sympathy for the landlord, but sending the police.
Yeah, and I just want to add one point here, that throughout these Yahoo Nation protests that began in late April and continue to this day, with the protests the last 3 days at Adam Skelly's restaurant, there are a lot of passionate people, but you know who the most passionate are? It is people from the former Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc countries, you know, the Romanias, the Hungaries, the Czech Republics, the Polands. They have lived this. They got themselves unshackled, or in some cases fled their homeland to Canada. They don't want to see what's happening right now in Canada happening to Canada, because they've lived through this movie before, and it doesn't have a good ending. And you know, it is just, I think that is a real cautionary tale, the road we're going down. If you had told me a year ago, a month ago, that, you know what, the City of Toronto is going to deploy more than 100 police officers and send in the mounted unit to shut down a man, a restaurateur, from selling brisket, I would have laughed at you. And yet, what did we see just hours ago?
Yeah, you're so right. Very frustrating. Let's bring Sheila back in. Sheila, you still there?
I am. Yes.
Thanks very much. I appreciate. Yeah, you know what? And we didn't forget about you. I was ranting, and then we watched the video. Let's throw Sheila back on in the big background way. I really like that. I feel like I'm being protected by the Grizzly Mama.
It'd be great to have a giant Sheila Gunn Reid that could pick us up.
Well, you know, it'd be sort of my little guardian angel. What do you think about what we saw? But you know, David was going to go to that gym today, because they were having sort of a last-ditch protest. Alas, it really was. I mean, not a stunt, not a gimmick. They owe their landlord $35,000, and the landlord said, "Guys, sorry, it's enough." And I find that deeply sad.
It's that this is not unique. You know, these are the stories that we're hearing about, but everybody in small business was teetering on the edge all across the country, particularly in Toronto, and they said, you can't lock us down again. You just can't. Find a different way. And Doug Ford and John Tory did it. I mean, it's not like Doug Ford and John Tory haven't been hearing from small business who were saying, we can't do this. We cannot hang on. You do this again, and it's over for us. And so, again, these are the stories that we're hearing about, but this is happening everywhere. I know the restaurant where we held our book signing in the summer for China virus, they lost a restaurant during the pandemic, and our lockdown wasn't as harsh or as long as what's happening in Toronto. So, you know, when Doug Ford and John Tory decided to do this again, they had to have known that they were going to be ending the hopes and dreams of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of small businesses in Ontario.
Yeah. Justin, I sent you pictures of the bimodal distribution. I know it's a goofy word, and I'm not trying to be a nerd. It's just that, you know, it used to be there was a consensus in society about some things. Most people were in the middle. There was some on the right, some on the left, and there were the fringes. But I think that society is now bimodal. This is what bimodal means. You know, there's something called the standard bell curve, you know. But this is what I think society is like now. In fact, you know that Pew research we talked about? We've shown that before, Justin. Pew research shows this. I don't even have to speak figuratively. Pew research shows that we're coming apart. Over the last 10 years, like, it's not like that, it's like that. So there's left, almost no one in the middle, and then there's right. There's no middle ground anymore. And so, and part of understanding the world and fighting the world is knowing, so look at this, very interesting. 1994, look at the overlap between what a Republican considers himself and what a Democrat. And then 1999, and then 2004. You see they're coming apart. Do you see that? 2011.
Here we go.
Do you see that? 2014 is 2000. You see how the overlap. There's no, and the Democrats are moving hard to the left.
Obama did this.
Obama did it.
Yeah.
Pelosi did it.
Yeah.
Could did it.
Yeah.
Now click that. Let's just show. So that's 2017. It's got to be way worse. So 1994.
Wow.
Most people could be either. Like, look at that. Still even 2004.
Wow.
Now 2011. You're right. Obama did that. 2014, and then your Soros money and your Obama. And by the way, Republicans aren't changing as much as Democrats. I should point that out. Again, this is the Pew Research Center, which, for those of you who don't know, is famously liberal. Now, I regard them as quite accurate. They are liberal. Every one of them is a liberal. They'll say so, but I actually trust their work, and I refer to it quite often. Okay. They are showing that there's two worlds. And the reason I forget my bimodal images, but you see what I mean by, that's just a fancy statistics way of saying there's not a bell curve where everyone fits on it. Now there's two bell curves. Yeah. Your left or your right, there's no common ground. And so you and I are outraged and sad by what we see, but we are part of the right-hand bell curve here. Yeah. The second mode, the second sine curve, or whatever you call it, I forget my terms, I bet they're exuberant. I bet they're exhilarated. I bet they're ebullient. I bet they're celebratory. I bet they're high-fiving because a blue-collar, plaid jacket wearing working man who was defying the public health deep state was squashed like a bug, and back to the world we run. Yeah. It's our world, you just live in it. So for every pang of sorrow and sympathy and rage you and I feel, I do believe that the other half is celebrating today.
You would win that bet, Ezra, and I'll tell you why. Whenever I come back for the last 3 days of these protests, I immediately put on talk radio and news radio to hear how it's being covered. And I can tell you, I mean, today, how they described these patriots, these freedom fighters in the media were the so-called anti-everything crowd. They're anti-lockdown. They're anti-government. They're anti-face mask. You know, as if these are really hellacious things to be, right? So they're called the anti-everything crowd. So obviously, what I get from that is the media party, they support lockdowns. They support big government. And there you are. There's the new two solitudes. You're right. This guy with the plaid jacket and the baseball cap on, he is one of the, he's not very smart, you see. He's not a sophisticated person like us. He eats brisket and drinks beer. We have mint juleps and
well, the funny thing is, because he was so cool and his food was so good, and he had sort of a certain style. I mean, I remember going to the store in Leaside. It was hipsters as far as the eye could see. Yep. I mean, it was the coolest crowd. But they've surely turned against him since they know what he's like. And you know what? I saw a tweet.
Ezra, it's their loss. Yeah. You know, at the bottom line is what you get on the plate, and that is delicious. You know that for a fact.
Can you pull up Jennifer Paglia? JPags, I think, is her Twitter account. She was seething at these people, and her greatest epithet, she practically spat, was, amongst the crowd, she saw a Trump hat. That tells you everything you need to know, people.
And Ezra, I met that guy yesterday, and I said, did you know you were the subject of a Toronto Star tweet? And he goes, what the hell are you talking about? I said, you're the only guy here in the last 2 days of being wearing a Trump hat. It had to be you. So she spat out in her tweet, somebody with a Trump hat. So wearing the Trump hat, that was tantamount to like waving a swastika on the parking lot of Adamson BBQ.
And I don't know why I'm just, I mean, I got my Latin wrong earlier today. I was very embarrassed when I tried to translate it. But I do know one phrase in Latin. Have you ever heard the phrase QED? quod erat demonstrandum. It's if you're a fancy pants debater and the other side confesses it, you say, oh, QED top, old top. It means you just proved that which was to be proven. So
that's a good one.
QED. Have you ever heard that? It's a fancy British way of saying it's a Latin acronym. And my point is, there's a big debate going on, pros and cons. I can see the health arguments, I can see the economic arguments, I can see the class arguments, I can see the policing arguments, I can see lots of arguments. Oh, there's a Trump hat. QED. It's done. It's done. No. The debate's over. We've been asked to stay off the property, so I can't see what enforcers up to, but R. Lawtons tells me, and he told me this is extremely important, people, one possible patron has a Trump hat on. And look at that, 155 quotes, 270 likes, 28, and then just, for obvious reasons, I'm not going inside with a bunch of unmasked people who don't believe in a pandemic, but I believe that lowlife Joe Warmington is in there. So they hate Joe.
So let the squalor do all the heavy lifting. Let him get his fingers dirty.
Oh, look at that next one.
Yeah.
The next one is great.
This person driving an official City of Toronto truck just honked and fist bumped the pro-Adamson folks here, and I'm not going to show it, but some left-wing, far-left accounts doxed this guy.
Yep.
They got a photo of his face, and they were calling for him to be said. Scroll down a tiny bit more. Let me see. Yeah, look at that. 478 people. Fire him. Burn the witch. It's a witch. QED. He's got a Trump hat. Must be a racist.
And that issue of the pickup truck, the city worker came up with John Tory, and he didn't say he was going to fire him, but there were words to the effect, Ezra, of we're obviously going to have to sit down with some of our employees and make sure they understand the importance of driving city-branded vehicles around in terms of making a political, yada, yada, yada. Didn't stop the police chief back in the summer
from taking
a knee for Black Lives Matter. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Nothing to see here, folks.
Sheila, let's bring you back in. I'm sure we get so excited around here and so wrapped up. I think we need Sheila in the background. Like just on I think we should have a big, larger-than-life painting of Sheila on the wall. So even when she's not, on the live stream, her presence is here and we're under her watchful gaze.
No, I want a statue of Sheila at the office.
Well, I like the fact that she's larger than life in this layout here. She's actually. She would be like 7 feet tall in real life, proportionately.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Sheila, how you doing out west there? We're joking around because what else are you going to do? If you don't laugh, what are you going to do? Cry?
Exactly. I was just scrolling through my Twitter feed, and Sherry DeNovo.
Yeah.
She was
That's a left-wing Toronto politician, right?
Yeah.
Yes. This is what she tweets. Love that eating at Adamson BBQ, a third-rate ribs place in what looks to be a used car parts mall, has become the picture of freedom for some. Kind of the Canadian version of Four Season landscaping. And I thought, that is the perfect synopsis. It's her tweet from from yesterday at 4:37 p.m. It's a perfect synopsis. Like, that's a thesis paper in a tweet for the class struggle that's unfolding here with this thing. Because it's really the classist, uppity snobs, the ruling class versus the workers. That's what's going on here. That's why I say it's brown shirts versus plaid shirts and normals versus nanny status. That's what this is all about. And she plugged it all into one tweet. So good for her. That's not a lot of characters to do that. But that's exactly what this is talking about. This is normal people, blue collar workers who just want to go to work. And heaven forbid they want to open up a rib place in an auto parts mall. Who cares? They can't all be fancy people like Sherry DeNovo getting the Order of Canada for performing a gay marriage. Whoopity-doo. These guys are trying to do something, build a future for themselves and their kids, and snobs like Sherry DeNovo are looking down their noses at them.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm not afraid to give a restaurant a thumbs down. I have a lot of opinions about what I eat and don't eat. You can look at me. Like a cruise ship, I have 2 supper sittings a night. like
And
a
it
hobbit.
takes you a long time to turn around.
There's there's first breakfast, second breakfast, 11 Z's, lunch and dinner and supper. And if I've got time for it, midnight snack. So
Oh, and you honk a horn when you come into your office, like when you come into port. Just,
I guess what I'm saying is I eat more than your average bear. I'm eating for two. I was disappointed to learn I was not pregnant. I had been under the impression and that was my excuse for so long. I have eaten. Can you call up my Texas rib video? Do you know the one? I went down to Midland, Texas. I should tell you, and I know we're being lighthearted, but we can take a minute to be lighthearted. I want to. It's only 3 minutes, Justin. I drove from Dallas to Midland, going nowhere but barbecue. Okay. And I was looking to find the best barbecue in Texas. And so will you take it from me that I am an authority on good barbecue?
Yeah.
I mean, look at the three of us. Who do you think knows more about barbecue? I mean, I know I'm a
smoker.
Jew, but I'm like an honorary cowboy.
I have a smoker.
Okay.
I'm jealous actually of this whole thing because I feel like
Okay,
this
so maybe you
fight
know more
was
than me.
made
Actually,
for
you're
me.
on a farm. You actually harvest meat, and you. Okay,
Yes.
fine. But I bet I've eaten at different more
for sure.
brisket restaurants than you, and I'm not trying to show off. I'm trying to tell you my credentials.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, credential comes from the Latin word credo, I believe. I want you to believe me.
I do.
When I
do.
say that this
Seeing is believing.
this is the finest Texas-style barbecue in Toronto for sure, maybe all of Canada. I don't say that politically. I say that because I've been there. I say that because even before this business, he would run out of meat every day. People would line up for half an hour before he opened every day. This is before. Yeah. So Sherry DeNovo is either lying because she knows it's good, or she's just smearing third rate. Why are you saying that? Why are you disparaging his craft and his work and his staff? Is your argument so weak? Why are you sneering at his blue-collar sensibility? Why are you mocking the mall he's in? Do only people in fancy neighborhoods get to eat? Should there only be restaurants for $100 a pop? I'm mad about that, and so I'm not in a lighthearted mood anymore. But I still want to show you my bar. But can I get back to the lighthearted mood, and can I show my Texas barbecue? Because I've been angry now for 4 hours. Can I take a minute just to have a lighthearted barbecue? I'm breaking the moral flow here, because that is the grossest tweet I've seen all day. As you say, Sheila, it combines snobbery, fact-free conjecture, classist attacks, self-congratulation, and lawlessness into one perfect elitist tweet. And I just want to tell you she's wrong about the food. Not that that matters. Here's me going through Texas. I don't even want to show this to you now because I'm not even laughy anymore. I'm mad now. But since Justin did the effort of getting it, and it is sort of a good video, let's watch it anyways. I am so famished. I haven't eaten in literally like 90 whole minutes. We're starting off here at Cooper's Pit Barbecue, in Canada. And we say, I'll just barbecue something. What we really mean is grilling. We don't barbecue like they barbecue down here. Here, let's go in and take a look.
Y'all enjoy.
I already had a bite of this mac and cheese. It's amazing. Because I'm just putting off the moment of truth. The ribs. I'm not going to kid around. I'm not going to be like David Cameron eating a hot dog with a knife and fork. I'm going to pick these beef ribs up. The way that, if God didn't meant us to pick up beef ribs, why'd he give us hands? This is the way to live, Texas style. We drove here to Natty Flat. I heard it's some of the best barbecue between Fort Worth and Abilene. Let's find out for sure. How do you do? I'm Ezra Levant.
Alan Evans. Grandpa, they call me.
Grandpa, eh?
Yeah.
Why would they call you that?
Because I'm old and ancient.
Now, I heard the Natty Flat is some of the best barbecue between Fort Worth and Midland. Is that true?
That is true.
You made a special trip here, so I hope you live up to high expectations.
We will do that.
Now, how do you do it? I mean, in where I'm coming from in Canada, barbecue, they don't use the term right. They just, anything they throw on the grill for 10 minutes, they call that barbecue. That's not the Texas way.
Now, we smoke with hickory or pecan, and we'll smoke for 12 to 14 hours for the brisket. And our ribs are about 4 hours. And sausage is less, an hour, hour and a half. So, but we have a rotisserie pit that we put our meats on, and it self-bases, it turns. So,
you know, I've only been here for a few minutes, and I already feel like it's a homecoming. I mean, where I come from, I'm living in the city of Toronto, and they have tofu. They have something called Whole Foods, where they serve something called kale. That's a foreign language in a place like this, isn't it?
Oh, yes. No, we don't hear anything like that.
Where does the word Natty Flat come from?
There's a street road down the ways here that's called Natty Flat, and the story is told that the settlers was settling down in that flat down there, and this little girl said, "Grandpa, there's too many gnats in this flat," so they named it Natty Flat.
Coleslaw or potato salad, guys, so I just double up on the beans.
Yeah. You know, that coleslaw, that's a little too getting close to vegetarianism. You know? I mean, a man like you in Texas has that much vegetables on a plate, fellas going to start thinking you're a Democrat.
Oh, that's exactly right. We certainly don't want him to think that. Don't ruin his meal. You know, he got to eat.
Now, Colin, you called me over and you said you had something special for me to eat. I don't get that kind of personal attention that often. You've got my full...
right now. This right here is what we call our baked potato salad.
Yeah.
It might stop your heart, but it's probably worth it. You've got your sliced brisket sandwich, large sausage, smoked sausage, small turkey, and our barbecue bean. Now, the barbecue beans are just red beans, and we add a little bit of chopped brisket and barbecue sauce to them.
Now, I'm calling this an appetizer, so I'll come back for more. That is so good.
My
right.
God, Ezra, do you rock that cowboy hat? Much better than Stephen Harper did.
Was
back
that
in the day.
was that a Smith built from Calgary, or did you bring that one up?
I'm trying to remember. That was 5 years ago. I can't recall. I was in the first year of the Rebel. Now, listen, that was fun, and I wanted to show that anyways. But
Ezra, can I interject about Sherry DeNovo? Because my last encounter with her was indeed as a Rebel reporter in October 2019. There was an author, forgive me, I can't remember her name. She had flown into Toronto to give a talk at a library around Bloor and Bathurst in Toronto. And she has been accused of being transphobic. So a huge protest emerged, basically to try to get the library to shut down that meeting. And it was
Megan Murphy.
Megan Murphy, thank you. It was on the tip of my tongue. And you had, it was weird. It was the Spirit Unicorn community and Antifa. And Sherry DeNovo was there, and she was there early, and I decided to interview her about what I think is one of the most important questions when it comes to transgenderism, and it is those males who become female and are in elite sports, and they're cleaning up the field. And all Sherry DeNovo, I'm going by memory, all she would chant to me into the camera, Ezra, is trans women are real women. Trans women are real women. So basically what I'm saying is Sherry DeNovo is a politically correct phony baloney. She believes that phony women are real women, and and when it comes to Adamson's BBQ, I will bet my everything I own that she's never stepped foot in that restaurant. She's given a review to a movie she's never seen.
You know what? And that's what I mean about bimodal, about the two worlds coming apart. And what irritates me is that the world of the rulers, of which Sherry DeNovo was a part, the $7 million condo of John Tory, Doug Ford and the company he inherited from his father, John Tory, the company he inherited.
Yeah.
Justin Trudeau, the wealth and name he inherited. Bill Morneau, the company he inherited, and then married into a billionaire's family. All this insiderism, you know, the CBC and their nepotism, hiring mistresses and sons and daughters. And Andrew Scheer's part of that nepotistic world too, as we've just learned. I mean, really, what's the difference? There's that world, the world of the media party conspiring in real time with John Tory to do things. And I accept people having a different view than me. If I didn't, I would have imploded a long time ago. My whole life I've been a dissident. But what they are meting out to others, M-E-T-E, is what they do not live by under themselves. And I want to show this. You know that Canadian Association of Journalists diptych that I was talking about, those 2 tweets in a row, the CAJ? If they were to lead by example, if they were to shut down, if Doug Ford were to shut down Deco Labels, his family company, if they were to stop, if Justin Trudeau were to stop traveling across provincial lines to hang out with his estranged wife and his kids, if the elites were to live by the rules they have for us, I wouldn't be happy, but I could accept the equality of it, the rule of law of it. Today we learned 1,300 professional athletes have been exempted from a quarantine, but not the little people.
No.
We learned that Walmart has a lobbyist session with Doug Ford, and Lockdown Lanceman manages to get an exemption for them. It's like when Al Gore flies on the private jet, tells and Leonardo DiCaprio on his yacht, telling us. So it's the disharmony, it's the cacophony. There's a disequilibrium there. We can see they don't mean it. When Nancy Pelosi gets her hair done, when Gavin Newsom goes out for dinner, when the mayor of, where was it, in Colorado, I think, Denver, some mayor, 30 minutes after telling people not to fly, he gets on a flight. That's what bugs me. If these people themselves were going to deprive themselves, I would say you're dead wrong, you're dead wrong, you're dead wrong, but I understand the justice of us all being in it together. But they are not in it together. None of them have lost a job or a dollar's pay. If anything, they keep their pay but don't have the work. It's a staycation. And I want to show you something from the media party. And I got to go. I don't know how much time you got. And I know I got to go. I got to get ready for my show tonight. But I want to show you these 2 tweets from the Canadian Association of Journalists when, for a period of 5 hours, their industry was caught in the lockdown. Tweet number 1. You see this is by the Canadian Association of Journalists? The government of Manitoba, first click on the picture. Do you see the picture there? It's a newsstand in a Walmart that has police tape on it. Do not cross. Caution, caution. So they were trying to lock down the non-essentials in the Walmart. Again, I'm not for any lockdown of essentials or non-essentials, because what's essential to you may not be essential to me and vice versa. But you see the newsstand was locked. And by the way, can you enlarge that picture at all, Justin? By the way, there's no news there. There's women's mags and a lot of American junk, and I don't think there's a single thing there that could be called news.
But Ezra, what's stopping someone from just grabbing the magazine?
Well, exactly. And so that's, I mean, I don't think these should be banned, but they were. Let me read the tweet. You can see it on the right there. The government of Manitoba has declared news non-essential during the pandemic. We're concerned and looking into this. As we've said many times this year, governments cannot use the pandemic as an excuse to restrict information and undermine democracy. Well, to which I would say, well, can't I get it online? You're making me shop online. You're making me shop with Amazon. You're making me shop online and order things online. I can't go to, if it's good enough for Adamson's BBQ, it can be good enough for your journalism no one reads anyways. So that was the tweet where they were freaking out. Oh my God, we're being locked down. And then look at this, update. I swear to God, it's 5 hours later. Update. We've learned this decision was an oversight and will be corrected. We thank the government of Manitoba for and many reporters for their efforts. And then they have some link. So, but look at that. Oh, can you put it back up? Look at the first comment. Too bad. A few months without paychecks might have helped you empathize with the people who are losing everything because of lockdowns. If emergency benefits are good enough for us, they're good enough for you, right? I don't know who Joshua Rem is, but I would trust him over any CAJ reporter.
Yeah.
Boy, it's too bad the CAJ can't do the CBC.
Put it back up. Put it back up. Look at these comments. So Calvin Eady. No. It has nothing to do with reporters going without paychecks and everything to do with the news being essential to a democracy. Freedom of the press is an essential freedom to keep politicians accountable and find everyday people access to information. Now, I agree that freedom of the press is essential, but why? But food is essential too. I don't know if you know that. And if I have to order things online, can't I get my journalism online? My point is...
Jason Kenney mentioned something about this the other day during his announcement not to lock us all back down. Because as Rick Bell, the beloved Rick Bell, I don't know what we're going to do with Post Media in this province when he retires, but he got on the line and he said, every time I call into these press conferences, there is a clamoring for a lockdown. And he asked the premier a question. And then the very next question, Bill Fortier, a mainstream media journalist here in the province, the next question was, well, but why aren't you locking restaurants down? That was literally the next question. It didn't even register to him what Rick Bell had just done to him, calling out his media as an industry. And Jason Kenney replied, and I just pulled up the direct quote because somebody who works for Kenney put it up. He said, I would say to those of you with a secure paycheck, and particularly a government paycheck, to think for a moment about those individuals whose entire life savings are tied up in their businesses. And it's the media too. It's CBC, same thing. They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care.
This is cancel culture. When you order something destroyed and deplatformed, usually it's political. Here it's both public health, paranoia, mania, madness, plus a good helping of classism from Sherry DeNovo. Justin, remember I did a story a few weeks ago about a town in the United Kingdom that was locked down tighter than a drum. Again, junk science, junk evidence, junk policy, etc. And there's a group in the UK called Pub Watch. It's like it's not quite a neighborhood watch for pubs, but it sort of is, because in the UK they have rowdy folks who go follow their football teams, their soccer teams around the country, and they get drunk. And then they get into fisticuffs. And so these groups called Pub Watch, they sort of watch out for drunk, rowdy types. It's like a neighborhood watch, because pubs in the UK are very family friendly.
Yep.
You go there with the kids, and you spend the day there, and the kids meet with the other kids, and the mums talk with the other mums, and it's like a half a day experience. Sure, there's drinking, but it's not like a bar here. You would never say, hey kids, let's go to the bar for a few hours. You would say, hey, let's go to the pub, because it's a community thing. I love it. I don't know how you build that pub culture from scratch. I don't know if you can, but it's so much part of the UK. So they have this group called Pub Watch. It's basically the responsible pub owners of a town saying, if there's a guy who's drunk and fighting in your pub, tell us, and we're going to ban him because we want to keep our pubs safe. Whatever. It's like neighborhood watch. But look at this story. Put it back on the screen. Look at this. Lifetime pub ban for Warrington MP who backed 10 p.m. curfew. And look at that guy's face. This is from the BBC. I also saw this story. Oh, what's it from the BBC we saw it? Yeah, that's the original one. Okay. Yeah, scroll down a little bit. Let me read the story. An MP has received a lifetime ban from the pubs, bars, and clubs in his own town following his support for the recent 10 p.m. coronavirus curfew. Warrington South MP Andy Carter will be barred from some 30 venues in the Cheshire town after the local Pub Watch group voted unanimously to ban him. Members said Mr. Carter had shown the industry no support. Let me pause right there. He didn't just do that. He attacked them. No support is when you don't go drinking. No support is when you say, I'm a teetotaler and I'm not even going to go for a steak and kidney pie. That's no support. No support is a nullity. It's a lack of positive support. He attacked them. Do you understand the difference? Yeah. The Conservative, and that's what's even grosser here, the Conservative said using the pub safety scheme for political aims brought it into disrepute. Wow. Nah, mates, I think you're looking in the mirror, Gov. The 10 p.m. curfew was introduced by the government to curb gatherings, but was criticized by the hospitality industry, which maintained venues were safe and the early closing time only encouraged more household mixing. One pub watch member said the curfew had absolutely killed us. Scroll down a little bit. He said people were angry and Mr. Carter had shown no support for the hospitality industry at a time when we need as much as we can get. Mr. Carter, who's been an MP in the town since December 2019, so he's very, very new, said it was simply not true to say the government had not supported hospitality. Again, he's accurate. They didn't not support them. They attacked them. Yeah. Scroll down a little bit more. I'll finish up here. I specifically raised the issue in the House of Commons, asking for more support for the sector, and then look what he calls support. I'm sick that this guy calls him a conservative. Mentioning businesses such as Hopco and the Red Lion, he told the local democracy reporting service. Look at this, look at this, look what he says is support. He's going to lock you down, he's going to shut you down, he's going to put a padlock on your door, but he supports you in this way. Pubs have received grants, access to loans, and government schemes including Eat Out to Help Out, and most recently, backdated support. I'm disappointed to see licensees using an important scheme like Pub Watch for political aims. It's totally against what it was set up for. Nah, mate, it was set up for scoundrels and looks like it caught one.
Yep.
Local Pub Watch schemes are run by volunteers to help create safer drinking environments in licensed premises. Cheshire Police said the force does not play a role in who is banned from entering any premises. So that's from the BBC. Show his face again. MP Andy Carter banned for life. And let me say, tip of the old hat to the 30 members of the Pub Watch in that town. And if Sherry DeNovo takes such glee in shutting down a restaurant, and if John Tory takes such glee in shutting down a restaurant, and if the city council and the police chief take such glee, I'm not one for cancel culture. No, I'm not. But this is not, these people are destroying these restaurants and pubs and bars. Let them be banned for life. And you don't think that fancy pants John Tory loves to go to his exquisite restaurants, the more expensive the better. Yeah. Sherry DeNovo would never darken the door of a third-rate barbecue shop. For her, it's more Canoe. Is Canoe even still around? I saw, there's some fancy restaurant chains in this town. What was the one downtown, one of the fanciest, basically said we're out of business?
Oh, I know the one you're talking about for the Toronto Film Festival.
Bunch of them
on Adelaide.
There's there are some high-end restaurants, and great. There's some high-end people in this town who drop $250 on lunch and a $100 bottle of wine. You know what? You're king of the universe. You're master of it. You're CEO of a bank. Whatever. I'm not going to stop you from blowing your money on a fancy lunch. We should all be so wealthy.
Ezra, though.
But to shut it down, they should ban these politicians.
And to that point, wouldn't that be a video for the ages if MP Andy Carter walked into one of these pubs? No one will recognize me. I'll put a ball cap on. And he is given the bum's rush. Mm-hmm. Get the hell out of this establishment. Your money's no good there. Wouldn't, just to see the look on his face as he's read the riot act that you're trespassing, would that not be a video for the ages, Ezra?
Yeah. Hey, I just checked the Free Adam Skelly petition, and it looks like it's over 11,000 people having signed it. I can't remember what time we put that up. I think we put that up at 1:30 Eastern.
Wow.
So, what's that? My math tells me it's 2 hours, 45 minutes. I do have to run. I got to get ready because I haven't finished my show. Today just went haywire. Hey, Justin, you're keeping your eyes peeled on things. Is there any news about the whereabouts of Adam Skelly? He was taken off in handcuffs in a police vehicle. I don't know the process, but my guess is he would have been taken to a police station, processed there, and possibly released, or possibly transferred to another remand type jail.
Wow.
Where he might have a bail hearing. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming. I have no idea. Maybe he was, remember when you were arrested?
Yes.
And you were just driven off the property.
Actually, was this the Brampton arrest?
Yeah.
Which
they
time?
decided against that. I
They
think
walked off the property.
Right. Because of
They
the
didn't want
optics.
the optics, yeah. Sorry, it's such a blur in my mind. All of our friends are being
All the
arrested through I think I'm the only one who hasn't been arrested around here. Yeah. I'm kidding around, but we have. Justin tells me there's no information yet about his whereabouts.
Yeah, and that's something we're hoping to track down, Ezra. And I can tell you, when we left the protest, I mean, and that's what it was. It was no longer a functioning restaurant. Adam had been arrested and driven off, as you saw from Lincoln's wonderful footage. And so basically what we left was a protest where the men and women in blue were there, the mounted unit was still there, and it was people, ranting into their megaphones. And I think the way it would just play out is a waiting game in which people would simply get hungry, tired, cold, and then go home. So there's probably not even half the people, from 2 hours ago. And the question is, if Adam is released today, will he be back at the barbecue tomorrow? And if so, if I can reach out to him and get an answer about that, I want to go back there, and because he doubled down today, and I think Adam's the kind of guy that he'll triple down.
Well, he's in for a penny, in for a pound, as the MP for Cheshire would say. My eye caught a chat. It's not a super chat, it's just a regular chat. Says, Julie Mitchell says, you're a lawyer, you don't know the process. Well, Julie, I don't know why he was arrested under what auspices. Was he arrested for obstructing police? Is he facing a criminal charge? Was he arrested under some emergency health power? Was he I have no idea what he was arrested for, if it was just police discretion to arrest him, if there was causing a disturbance, we've heard that line before, or was we don't even know if he's been charged. He had a bunch of tickets, but you don't arrest and take into custody someone for a parking ticket or a traffic ticket unless it reaches a high level of... So the reason I don't know is because we don't know why he was arrested, and frankly, it is a live question if his arrest was lawful. We have seen Tommy Robinson, Avi Yamini, David Menzies, Kean Bexty, I'm trying to go through all, Anna Slats, Laura Loomer.
Oh, yes,
I mean, right there I just listed 6 current and former rebels who have all been arrested, most of which were arrested falsely.
The sinister 6.
I'm trying to think of who else. All
I
of
just
whom
get the
were
bum's
arrested for
rush. I've
journalism.
never been arrested.
Yeah, you haven't been arrested. I don't think I have been, although I thought I would be when I was with you in Brampton that day.
Oh, and I think you also came close out in the East Coast, Ezra, when you were tracking down Homer Connor.
That's right.
You were
And I should tell you,
brink.
when I was in Peterborough in the UK, oh, that judge wanted to throw me in the clink so bad. Oh, my God. And I was in the Old Bailey. There's a court in London that has a dungeon underneath. I don't know if you know that. The most beautiful court in all of the United Kingdom. It's called the Old Bailey. And you can't take photos inside it, but I encourage you, can you Google Old Bailey ceilings? It's nothing in the world compares to the Sistine Chapel, and shame on anyone who says so. But it is so breathtaking, the artwork in this courthouse, but you're not allowed to take photos of it. Wow. And now there are some official photos online. I'm just talking, Old Bailey Courthouse interior, Old Bailey Courthouse, look, the Old Bailey looks modern. Just show what you got. Just type it in Google Images. I lost my train of thought, but I was in there. I was live tweeting Tommy Robinson's trial, and Dominique Casciani of the BBC interrupted the trial and asked the judge to hold me in. Yeah, look at that one on the right. Look at that one on the right. Click on that one on the right. Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, did it not catch there or something? I mean, it's so beautiful. That's what it's like up top, above grade. But there is a real dungeon underneath it. And the BBC, look at that! I say again, it's not like, I shouldn't have even said the word Sistine Chapel, because obviously there's nothing in the world compares or could ever compare with Sistine Chapel. But you got to admit that's the most beautiful court you can imagine. So I was in there, and some BBC type, and it's a similar theme. I was for the blue-collar working-class man named Tommy Robinson. The BBC and the rest of the media party were condemning him. My tweets were getting 3 million impressions a day. No one was reading their junk. So Dominique Casciani handed to the clerk, who handed to the judge, a note in the middle of the trial.
I remember that.
Complaining that I was tweeting. The judges stood up, left the room, conferred in their chambers. Dominique Casciani of the BBC asked for me to be arrested for contempt of court.
Cry, baby.
And there is a prison, there is a dungeon underneath.
A dungeon?
There's a dungeon.
Holy Game of Thrones, Batman.
Now the judges came back in and said, what are you talking about? Tweeting from courts is perfectly allowed under rule, blah, 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 blah. And I knew that because I had approval from the master of the Recorder of London. That's an ancient title. The boss of the whole place. I had in writing from him permission. I was very compliant. That I don't know why I'm telling tales, because I've been in this chair for 4.5 hours on and off. But there is a link, which is that the media party, as Donald Trump would say, is an enemy of the people. Mm-hmm. And he didn't mean that in a fascist way. He meant that they're against the people. Mm-hmm. They are not for the people. They're not working class. And the further to the left you go, the more antipathetic they are to real people. They like the idea of people, but they despise people in actuality. Especially those like Adam Skelly, especially those who aren't quite fancy. Sorry for the third-rate barbecue, Sherry DeNova. And I'm just saying that's a lie. I'm just saying that's a lie. If you're third-rate barbecue, you don't sell out your entire stock every day. It was well known. You have to go to the restaurant and line up early, or you're going to... Don't tell me... And why are you saying that? Why are you diminishing a man's craft? Sherry DeNova, what are your actual skills? You know, there's that thought experiment. If civilization were to stop, if there was no electricity, could you survive even for 3 days? Would you know how to get food and water and shelter? And I think most city folk, the answer is, well, yeah, I know where food comes from, the fridge. Oh, where does it come from before that? The grocery. Where does electricity come from? The wall, duh. So I think that a lot of city people don't have a lot of actual skills.
Sheila would survive.
Sheila would survive.
I'll be fine.
In the zombie apocalypse, I would rather be with Adam Skelly than Sherry DeNovo. It is true that if you had a lesbian marriage you wish to consecrate, Sherry DeNovo's your woman. That was her claim to fame. Now, I think that Adam Skelly could be a honorary officiant at a wedding of any
anybody can. It's a piece of paper you fill out.
That's right.
It's not a claim to fame.
So I don't think she has an advantage in any way. In the lecturing, hectoring department, she's got Adam Skelly beat. But if there was a zombie apocalypse, I'd be on Adam Skelly's team. And I think the Sherry DeNovo people would be very hungry very quickly.
And chanting, trans zombies are real zombies.
Oh, and the whining. Can you know what? We're going on long here, and the mood is now bantering. Can you call up Gavin McInnes, Naked and Afraid? You know that one? I have never watched the TV show Naked and Afraid.
I watch it sometimes.
Even though I am often both of those things. You would think I would watch.
Scare easy.
But apparently it's a popular TV show, and our roguish friend Gavin McInnes, who I'm shocked has not been arrested. Come to think of it, he did a little talk about it, and of course he's sexist as always. But here, take a look at Gavin McInnes. Let's play about a minute of this. Gavin McInnes, Naked and Afraid.
Hello. I am obsessed with the show Naked and Afraid, and that show teaches you everything you need to know about feminism. It also teaches you everything you need to know about the differences between men and women and the general problem with Western culture today. And Bill Whittle talks about this. He says that the solution to America's problems is to spend 3.5 days in the woods. And that would show us how hard it is to survive and how lucky we are to have everything we have. Naked and Afraid encapsulates this sort of arrogance we all have about how great we are. We have all these campaigns to promote our self-esteem, and our self-esteem is way too high, and women's self-esteem is way too high. They think they can do anything. They all think they're LeBron James. They kick ass, and there's no challenge they can't handle. And when I see this show, I see, oh no, actually, we're not that tough, we're not that great, and women aren't the same as men. Now, when you say this to people who haven't thought about it before, aka liberals, they say, oh, sexist pig, Western chauvinist asshole Gavin McInnes is a caveman who wants to hit women on the head with a club and drag them back to the cave because he says men capture big game and women nurture around the cave. That is generally the truth. Okay, women do tend to those rules. And liberals, I want to explain something to you that's very basic that you don't seem to get. There's general and there's universal. Generally, men and women adapt to their biological roles. These are biological roles that we see in chimps too. Baby chimps like to play with trucks that are when they're male. Baby chimps that are female like to play with dolls. Generally, that is the same with male and female human beings. Universally, of course, there are exceptions. So just because you found a survivalist who kicked ass on Naked and Afraid doesn't destroy my point. In fact, one of my favorites was Alana Barfield. She was a Gucci salesperson who we all assumed was going to totally fail, and she kicked ass. She was amazing. However, a far more typical episode and a more representational depiction of the way men and women are would be Bo Stewart and Debbie Harris. I think this was on the 40 Days or Nothing episode, the XL one. They've got all kinds of different variations, and this one was different teams competing for 40 days. Now, the Bo Stewart and Debbie Harris team were awesome because she is so proud of herself before and after for surviving. Before, she was wearing a shirt that said, "I will thrive." And this guy is a U.S. Army Special Forces officer with teenagers. She's a mother of young children. What the hell are you doing going out there, lady? Why are you trying to prove this point? You have kids. You're risking diseases. You're risking death. Why are you going away from your kids for 40 days? When I'm away from my kids for 5 days, I feel like I'm getting chemotherapy. And I'm a dude. She's a mom. It's baffling, and it can't be the money. This is reality shows. They pay maybe $1,000 a month at best. They usually just pay the wages you're missing by being away from your job. Anyway, Bo Stewart's a totally different case. Special Forces officer, and I like the idea of him being out there. First of all, his kids are teenagers, so they're not going to miss him that much. Yes, he's taking a risk. The guy takes a risk every day. That's his job. He's an Army brat. His dad risked his life every day. And I like seeing that kind of guy on TV because we're depicting soldiers wearing red high heels, and we're having women do push-ups as the Marines, and there's pictures of the Marines saying, "We are proud, Army strong," and it's some woman in a dress holding a clipboard. I prefer the Bo Stewart image of America's military out there. But here is a typical example of how that episode went.
It's just disgusting, but there's no other food option, so gotta take what you can get. You want them?
Go ahead. No, keep going until you start feeling better. Yeah. So.
Kind of tastes a little bit like coconut, but like oily.
What a thriver she is, huh? She dared to eat one of the many things he caught her. That whole episode was her saying thank you and sitting there in the cave as he went out and got food. He caught a caiman, a baby caiman. He caught big fish. They ate together. And they came back. She's all proud of herself. She's an inspiration. Her poor kids barely know her when she comes back. 40 days? And they both, he got leishmaniasis. He almost lost his ear to this disease. And they were getting bit by these sandflies that carry diseases.
You know what? I would watch the rest of that, but I know that's going down a rabbit hole, and we do that sometimes on these stream of consciousness shows when you're on TV for 4 hours. You have the point there is, first of all, you know, I forget how funny and smart Gavin can be when he's on his good behavior.
Yes. Yep.
You know, he's
It's
on bad
true.
behavior,
It's
let's
true.
say 49% of the time, but the 51% of the time that he's well behaved, he's very articulate, he's very persuasive, and he's surprisingly thoughtful.
Yep.
And that's a great episode, and I recommend it. But my point is, who actually knows how to do anything? And he was making the gender point there about being in the wild. I'm making a class point.
Sure.
Adam Skelly knows how to feed people, feed hundreds of people in a way that they find so that they love. And he also, which is a different skill set, has found a way to hire. There's no way he has less than 100 employees.
Yep.
You got 3 stores, you know, behind the back end, front end, different shifts. I worked at a restaurant that had 250 people there. Your typical McDonald's is 250 people because of different shifts and different. There's no way he has less than 100 for 3 stores. So he knows how to make great food. He knows how to run 3 operations. He knows how to earn a living for 100 people. That guy is useful. Yep. That guy is a community builder. He meets our basic needs of feeding us. And Sherry DeNovo, I can't even list an accomplishment, but the sneering and the disparagement, I don't know, that naked and afraid thing came to mind. That was a feminist commentary, which applies to Sherry DeNovo. And that's another thing. Adam Skelly is a man who looks like a man's man.
Yeah.
And acting like a man.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm going to excuse myself. Sheila and David, do you want to stick around and cover the Super Chats? Because we have a bunch of Super Chats. All right. What I'm going to do, Justin, could I impose upon you or someone else to bring the earpiece for David? You know what we're going to do? Here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to say goodbye now. Sheila, we're going to throw to you. You start working through the Super Chats. We'll wire up David. I'll be back at 8 p.m. tonight. David, good work today on the ground. Great work to Lincoln. I'm going to tell him I just thought that was great videography by him.
Yep.
So we have about 100 Super Chats I'd like you to work through, and or however many there are. Thank you for your work today. Sheila, thanks for being on call all day. I got to go do this other thing. So over to Sheila now, and then when we return here in Toronto, David will be mic'd up properly and I'll be gone. So over to Sheila.
Great. And before we move on, I just want to thank everybody in the office who covered for me while I was on air with Ezra for 4 hours. I don't just do, videos in front of the camera. I do other things at the company too. And everybody really stepped in to make sure that things kept moving and things kept flowing and news kept getting out all day. So thanks everybody in the office. And I promise as soon as I'm done here, I'll put my head back in my computer and get right back to work. Let's get to some of these Super Chats while we wait for David to figure out how to put an earpiece in his ear. It's usually the battle of boomers versus technology while David does that. We've got a Super Chat from Andrew I or one. I don't know which. It's hard to tell how I get sent the message, if that's an I or an L or a 1. But he gives us $2 and says, United Front Group from CCP tipped them off. Do you mean the United Front Group tipped off the media, tipped off the police? I think it's far less complicated than that. I think it was just the mayor or somebody from the city told the media that to come on down and watch Adamson BBQ get absolutely destroyed today. Ben gives us $20, says happy to see the people starting to stand up. Me too. Matt B 300 gives us $2. We all want Rob Ford back. Yes. Drew Martin gives us $101. Thank you very much, Drew. That's very generous. I'm so sorry it took us so long to get to your Super Chat. Hopefully you're still watching. First time donating due to your amazing video upload this morning. Hope to see Rebel continue for as long as it needs to. I think as long as the mainstream media refuses to be balanced and tell both sides of the story, and as long as the elite and ruling class sneer down their nose at working class people, I've got job security from here to eternity. Durfi gives us $5 and says, I mean, true enough, if your business is about to go under and you're about to lose your livelihood, does a fine even matter at that point? That's the thing. When you've got nothing left to lose, why not? Why not go down fighting? And I think that's what Adam Skelly's doing. Michael A gives us $13.99. If only these tyrants went after rampant gang crime or BLM Antifa with a fraction of the force and urgency being used to crush entrepreneurs that doesn't have guaranteed job and salary, astounding the tone deafness. Yeah, I mean, the same police force that we saw today ride in with the riot squad to block a man from opening his business and serving food to his customers, that's the same police force that took a knee with BLM. That's how gross the optics are in all of this. Nobody cared about social distancing then. The COVID wasn't going to get BLM because apparently it is magical and it has some sort of values test before it gets you. The optics for the Toronto police are absolutely atrocious. And I guarantee you more cops were on the barbecue crimes today than were on the shooting in Mississauga last night. Big Mac Attack 101 gives us $100. Says, this is not a police state. That's what they should be chanting. Big Mac Attack 101. That's very generous. And I hope you're still watching. I know it was quite some time ago when you sent us that super chat. I think it was actually on the last stream. Christina Pabloka gives us $27.99. I'm just sick and disappointed with worst ever mayor of Toronto. Great shame on how the police reacted today. I think the police were directed to react the way that they did. Paulette McQuarrie gives us $5. I don't see a super chat. Cindy McNichol, again, $20. Thank you very much. Rise up, be fearless. Once you lose your freedom, you will never get it back. Very rarely, that's true. Durfi gives us $5. One big thing that really irritates me about the mainstream media editorializing is that it's not just how they cover the thing, but also what they choose not to cover. Yeah. When they flat out said they're not going to talk about the news, which is Adam Skelly, because they don't like his politics and they want the mayor to have reacted to make the police force shut him down sooner so that they don't have to cover this man with pesky politics. I mean, that's exactly the media mob. And for a mob of media activists who don't seem to like Rebel News, as long as they keep behaving like that, again, I'm going to be around for a very, very long time. Lion of God gives us $6.99. I don't see a super chat. Chantel Tremblay gives us $5. No super chat. Lion of God again, $13.99. Thank you very much. Dallas Moore, $5.49. Thank you very much. Alex gives us $5. How close are we to V for Vendetta? Mr. Bandit, 7-Eleven, gives us $6.99. Canadian Barbecue Catalyst 2020. Josh Medeiros, I think, gives us $5. No super chat. George Delagianis, I'm sure I butchered that, but thank you very much for your super chat. He gives us $10. Shane Wirtz gives us $10. Isn't the barbecue a peaceful protest? Yeah, exactly. I didn't see any violence or anything like that. I heard no F this, no F that, like Antifa. Yeah, just happy people eating good food. A guy trying to make a living is evil. Swearing and violence is okay. Yeah, it's funny that the mainstream media that were down there are complaining and sneering about Trump hats and being forced to park a little bit too far away than what they'd like. They're looking at this man trying to keep his business open as absolutely revolting. And they look at it as though it's vulgar. And yet these are the same people who will provide favorable coverage to such things as the slut walk or the people who wear the pink hats at the Women's March and hold up gross pictures and dress in vagina costumes. That's the mainstream media for you. Paul Kundal gives us $10. I don't see a super chat, but thank you very much. Adrian Catherine Cooper, $6.99. No super chat. Greg Orr, $20.99. Keep up the good work. Ezra and all at Rebel fighting the good fight. Thank you very much. We definitely will. Axelrod gives us $34.99. No super chat, but that's pretty generous of you. Pretty friendly. Thank you very much. Rocio or Rockio Lozano. I'm sorry, probably said it wrong either way. $13.99 with a pear character flying in the air with a red cape and a smile on his face. That's very nice. Maria C. gives us $6.99. Remember, Michelle Rempel is on the list of global leaders at the World Economic Forum. Maria, I hope you're still watching because I asked her about that. And she said she was given the opportunity to attend the World Economic Forum, and she did because she wanted to know what the heck was going on there and the things that were being said there. And if it meant that she had to go as a list of young global leaders to get on there and get in there, she did. And you know what? As a journalist, if somebody said, Sheila, we want to invite you to the World Economic Forum, I would go. I would absolutely go. I would want to know exactly what everybody was saying so that I could come home and fight it. So sometimes people go to these things and it's not for the sinister reasons that you think. Christina Pabloka gives us $6.99. Thank you so much, Sheila, Ezra, and the whole team for your great job today and always. The guys on the ground and the front lines of the barbecue wars are doing such a great job. Lincoln is very new to the team and just doing a bang-up job. He's even great on Skype. And that's hard to do when Ezra's asking you questions and you're not used to being in front of the camera. I know even for me, it's tough now, 5 years later. Lincoln was great. And I see that I'm supposed to once again remind everybody about the petition at freeadamskelly.com. And in just a couple of hours, we're up at nearly 13,000 signatures, which is absolutely phenomenal. I wish we had news to tell you about where Adam is. But we don't even know if he's still in custody or if he's been released. We don't know what the charges are. We saw what you saw, the police hauling a businessman away for the crime of being entrepreneurial and defying the draconian orders of John Tory. Dale Gulbrinson, I hope I said that right. Dan Gulbrinson, I'm sorry. $12. Doesn't look like any future I want to be part in. I can only hope this is the bottom and it's all up from here. Chantel gives us $10, and that's a pear character bowing down saying thank you. Chris Lynch gives us $2. Rebel News set up a GoFundMe for Adam. I'll donate. I think Ezra addressed this earlier on the stream when he said, you know, we'd like to help Adam. We've offered to help in any way that we can, including legals and crowdfunding. It sounds like he has a lawyer in place already, so he doesn't need our help with that. But if Adam wants our help, we're here. And, you know, David's a fan. Ezra's obviously a fan of smoked meat, and he seems really like my kind of guy. I'm kind of tired of him stealing my outfits, but that's neither here nor there. We'd love to help Adam if he wants our help. What gives us $25. Time to protest at the precinct and don't bring any ID. The politicians need to be kicked out of power. Unfortunately, we can only do that at election time, kick them out of power. George T gives us $69.99. Thank you very much. And all you did was super chat us an emoji of a pear flying a firework rocket disappearing away before bursting into the sky. Doris Lim gives us $3.99. Pear character with lovey-dovey eyes blowing red hearts in the air. Thank you very much. Mike Offerhouse, House, $5. Ezra, please read the preamble of the Canadian Emergency Act. Yes, Ezra said that he would do that. And I think he has done that already once. Annalisa S., $6.99. Keep fighting for freedom. Love all of you at Rebel. Thank you, Annalisa. You're always in the super chats. You're a regular donor, regular supporter. Appreciate that very much. Durfi, also regular donor, regular super chatter. Gives us $2. Petition signed. Free Adam. Thank you. And Elisa S., $27.99. Here's some more money since I have been on Wi-Fi hell. And Elisa, that's funny. I'm actually quite surprised the internet has held up in my house for this long, considering how long I've been on live TV today. Dame of the Dammits gives us $5. The thing with civil disobedience is that there is an unjust application of another law that claims you're uncivil. God bless Adam. Yes. And Elisa asks $13.99 just because I need to do some catching up. Boy, that's very generous, Annalisa. Durfi gives us $5. Income tax came in for World War I. Government seems to have a nasty habit of bringing in certain supposedly temporary policy laws, taxes, and then keeping them. I think this comment refers all the way back to me and Ezra discussing the civil disobedience around the wheat board. Marsha Hines gives us $5. I see that there's a GoFundMe set up for Adam. Love Rebel News. Yes, Ezra mentioned the GoFundMe. I know I can't testify to the validity of the GoFundMe, but there is one there. And again, if Adam wants our help, we'd love to help. We've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for other people. We like to help. So if he wants our help, we're here. Mr. Bandit 711 gives us $6.99. Canadian Barbecue Catalyst 2020. Virtual democracy is but a step away from sin number. Bye-bye, Justin Castro. Maria C. gives us $5. Rebel News Live. Protests continue. Hundreds of police cars. Crazy. Yeah. Wax gives us $5. Just called Toronto PD about this and they refuse to comment. Yeah, they're going to do that. And hung up on you. Also extremely rude. Are we in communist China? They don't like to release a lot of information, even to journalists, so I'm not surprised that they didn't want to take your call. Zardrell McKnight gives us $20. This super chat is for my friend Adam. Please give this to his family. I know it's not much, but it's something. We'll have to find a way to get the super chats that are for Adam over to Adam. The Voice in the Void ASMR gives us $5. Would you guys support Dan Dix of Press for Truth, who has been heavily deplatformed and wrongfully accused of being racist? I did see that he has been deplatformed. I've talked about Dan Dix on the live stream with David in the past. I know he's been a target of Jonathan Yaniv. I think Jonathan Yaniv might even be behind some of the deplatforming that's happened to Dan Dix. Donovan Brewster gives us $5. Thanks as always for striving for truth. Much appreciate it. Thank you very much. Zardel McKnight gives us $100 and says, give this to Adam. So we will have to find a way to get that to Adam. Jody J. Mick or Jody J. MC gives us $6.99. No super chat. Margaret Granny McKay gives us $6.99. Edmonton lady policewoman said she won't do this. I think she would quit. Oh, that's good to hear. Any of the interactions I've had with Edmonton City Police while I'm on the job as a journalist have been great. So, I'm glad to hear that. Vince Daniff gives us $20, says, you're amazing. Thank you very much. Durfi gives us $5. It's important to remember that the upper positions of police forces and the military after a certain high level are basically politicians. Yeah, they all just become bureaucrats, don't they? Tom Youngjohn gives us $9.99. I actually had to search YouTube to find you. Long time no see. I remember, Tom, you used to be quite a regular super chatter and then you disappeared from our lives. And you're back now. So glad to have you back. And that's interesting about YouTube, however unsurprising. Mike Offerhouse gives us $5. The doctor and scientist that facilitated the Barrington Declaration has been deplatformed on YouTube. Check your Instagram to hear his message. Will do. Pastor Sheldon Andreas gives us $10. Why are governments still using faulty case models to justify lockdowns and masking? Well, to control you, of course. Oh, I hear that David's coming along nicely. How much credibility do these case projections have? It depends on how they count the cases. My friend Andrew Chapados did a great video on how cases are counted, and it's not based on a positive COVID test result. For example, there are on some days 7 people who live in my house because my in-laws spend a good portion of the year here with us. And for example, if I tested positive, all 7 people in my household could be presumed cases because of their close contact with me, even though they might never get it. And so that's how they're counting the cases. And so the cases are often inflated versus positive tests. And even lower than that, people who actually experience symptoms of the coronavirus. Hi, David. You look lovely.
You're too kind, Sheila. Thank you so much for reading all those super chats. It gave me a chance to eat my first meal of the day, which was cold leftover pizza. And I got to tell you, Mr. Producer, Mr. Producer Justin is doing this with his fingers, the world's smallest violin. I actually own the world's smallest violin, a replica of it. I'm going to bring it in. But he was hectoring me. He was hectoring me, Sheila, saying, how much pizza are you eating? And that reminded me of one of the greatest jokes of all time. And I'm going to tell it to you very quickly. It was back in the days of ancient Rome, and Julius Caesar was always being such a glutton, eating so much. And one day, he ate so much, he's bent over in pain, and Brutus comes by, and Brutus says, Julius Caesar, what's wrong? He says, oh, I've got a terrible stomachache. And Brutus says, well, you know what, Caesar, that's because of all those pizza pies you keep eating. How many pizza pies did you eat today? And Julius Caesar says, 8 2, Brute. Oh, that's gold. Come on.
Gold.
Oh, come on.
We got to get to these super
Don't
chats.
you know Latin?
I know enough to know that wasn't funny. And while you ate actual pizza, I drank a coffee cup full of pickles. That's what I had for lunch. I was on air all day on live TV, and I forgot my mic was muted because I didn't want everybody to hear me munching while we were watching clips. Okay, let's get through these super chats.
Oh, we got more. Great. Thank you.
We've got more because we did 2 live streams. We never even got through all the super chats on the first one because we had to premiere your video. And then we jumped back on, and they just kept rolling and rolling and rolling. So,
if I'd only known, I could have had one more slice.
You could have, yes. Ian Hall gives us $50 and says, use this to help with legal fees. Ezra, the USA should do the same when they have these unlawful lockdowns. Yeah, it's time for civil disobedience, folks. That's what I think. Zach Lucas gives us $6.99. I find it odd that after Trump was acquitted from impeachment, the world was infected with COVID. Kurt123 gives us $10. The best part of that story was him keeping the mainstream media reporters away. Politicians are always lying and police are under the gun, but the mainstream media has willingly gone against the people. They're actively cheering for Adam Skelly to lose everything that he's ever worked for and put all of his employees out of work.
Oh, Sheila, and
going on Twitter and, for lack of a better term, bitching about getting a parking ticket.
Oh, and Sheila, it wasn't just Adam. Many of the freedom fighters there, the anti-lockdown types, were walking right up to the media with placards and chanting some things that I can't say on a family broadcast. And it was funny driving back from the event of today. Part of the dominant conversation of the host and the reporter on site at News Talk 1010 was all the salty language the mainstream media types had to hear. And it was incredible, Sheila, because it was the reporter was saying, yeah, it's very distressing, but you know, it comes with the territory when you sign up for this job. And I'm thinking, oh, goodness gracious, it sounds like this guy's in a foxhole in Afghanistan or something. And you guys get some F-bombs thrown your way. Try doing what some of us here at Rebel News have been through, Sheila, yourself with Dion Buse. Yeah. Myself, well, where do we begin? Bottles off the head, punches to the face, dogs on the thigh, and missing it by that much, Chief. Go through that, folks, and, tell me about the rigors of doing journalism. But, it's incredible the sheltered bubble life that these media types in the mainstream live, isn't it, Sheila?
Yeah, that Linda Ward with the CBC. She's the one who complained about getting a parking ticket because Adam Skelly didn't let her use this parking lot. Don't worry, Linda. The taxpayer will cover it like we do everything else down at the CBC.
Just put it on the tab.
Said, yeah, just charge it to me. And then, she said, I've been called every name in the book today, in text and to my face by people who don't know me. But I kept my composure. And I reported the fact. I'm not kidding. That's what she tweeted. And I said, hi, Linda, I'd like to send you a sympathy card signed by everybody on my team who's been assaulted at work. But I think cards might be non-essential in Ontario. So you and the Toronto Star would probably call the cops on me. Like, I'm just so sick of these people. Like, you got a parking ticket and somebody said something bad to you. That's a good day on the job for us.
Sheila, if I was going to some kind of Antifa or Afro-Indigenous rising protest or, that kind of far left nonsense. If you told me, the worst you're going to suffer today, Dave, is being told to F off and being told, every single slur in the book, I would welcome that with open
I'd
arms,
skip into work.
I go, you mean I'm not going to get physically assaulted? You mean no one's going to grab my microphone and smash it to bits on the ground?
Yep.
Oh, bring on the salty language. That's water off a duck's back.
Okay, we got to get through this because I know Justin's like Sheila super chats, and I know we're coming up against having to film some other shows. So let's get through this. Spare Time in Canada gives us $5. Love this show, Ezra. May I report for you in New Brunswick? Careers at rebelnews.com. Send your application there. Lisa Bruce gives us $2. David, thank you for always being courageous. Thanks, Lisa. Rick Todd, $20. Thank you for all your work all over the world. We appreciate your U.S. coverage as well as your coverage in Australia. Wow. Well, if you're in the United States, stay tuned because I think we have yet another American contributor who might be coming on board with us. The Devil's Due gives us $5. I've said it for a while. Police in the GTA are not your friends. Back the blue. How about get a clue? They serve the woke GTA politicians. I'm apprehensive to paint all police as bad, and I don't like to, spoil the whole with a few bad apples. No, and but Sheila, what I saw today was purely political.
Absolutely. I'm sorry to the viewer. Even the people there were chanting "Back the Blue," which is not what would happen at a far left protest. These cops, I am sure, without interviewing, their heart's not in it. Sheila. Yeah. This is politically motivated. This was making an example out of somebody. And believe me, they'd rather be doing real police work.
Yes. And as I'm breezing through these, everybody at home who's still watching, we're at nearly 1,300 or 13,500 signatures on our free Adam Skelly petition. If you wouldn't mind sharing that, maybe we can actually get that thing up over 15,000 before we're even done getting through all these super chats.
Fantastic.
Okay. Annalisa S gives us $6.99. Oh, my sweet Menzies. Yeah, Annalisa, that's how I remember you. Is you're the one with bad eyesight.
I'm sorry, the earpiece faded out there for a second, Sheila. Could you read that super chat from Annalisa again?
No time. MEC gives us $2. What would Canada do without Rebel? Thank you. No, thank you. Maurice Levite gives us $1. Thank you. Tragic Toy gives us $5. It would be stupendous if the Rebel could provide a list of open local business alternatives to big box stores in major cities, at least. That's something to think about. Remy Trepanier gives us $20.99. No super chat. Stephen Sewell gives us $200.
Wow.
And says, just a working girl. Please give to Adam. Okay, we'll find a way to make sure that we get that. Christina Pabloka, $6.99. Thank you guys for covering this event. Ezra, soon you will need to cover 24 hours a day. Don't say that. We really need an independent media. There's not enough hours in the day for David to work and not enough days in the week. Christina Pabloka gives us $6.99. We want to help Adam and Michael Arana if it is needed. Thank you very much. Tanya Bevs gives us $5. We need to start a GoFundMe page for the people of Canada to fight all this tyranny. Randall Alexander gives us $10. What was Adam cooking? Pork? Cities are bending to Islam. No, he's smoking beef ribs in there, turkey, pork, whatever. Victoria, BC, reducing Christmas lights. North Vancouver finding if lights are on past 11 p.m. due to Islam. I didn't see it was due to Islam. I saw that people are complaining about light pollution as though there's such a thing. Durfi gives us $2. Don't forget about the perks these bureaucrats get. Yeah, Rob Ford has a really great video from almost a decade ago listing all the perks that he gets as a member of City Council. Lavarma or Iavarma gives us $5. There was a stabbing near here, Ontario and Dundas, but cops are busy stopping small businesses from selling barbecue. Yeah. Lavarma or Yavarma, sorry, $5. Oh, same one. Knox Bates family, 1999 stopped the Great Reset, Great Awakening. Les Douglas gives us $5. I was under the assumption that evictions are not permitted during the pandemic. Durfy gives us $5. Only further makes me curious about this new Blue Ontario Provincial Party as some kind of alternative to Ford. Yeah, Ford's better look out because the vote's going to split and we're going to get the Liberals in there again. Tony M gives us $2.79. Great reporting, Rebel News. Cheers, never quit. We won't. Donna Carter gives us $5. Fan character laughing out loud with tears in their eyes. MEC $2. Randy Hillier got a bylaw ticket today. Yes, we did talk about that. Terrell Sandike gives us $5. Video has gone live of arrest by major fake news of Adam Skelly. Yeah, we've got ours up too. Lisa Proust, $2. I admire Rebel News and Sheila and David, my favorites. Thank you.
She's
Jim
so
Rat
nice.
gives us so nice. $5. Sure hope you guys keep at this Dominion voting software story. I think Kian's going to keep digging. Yeah. It is a Canadian story with Soros Ties Foundation, other links, international impact. Yes. Anime Canuck gives us $5. All the barbershops and salons that close should ban the MPs and MPPs. What a great idea. Force them to have self-done bowl cuts for life. Love you all at Rebel. That is such a great idea.
Love it.
KZ1000 Guy 1 gives us $5, just a small amount, but put it towards our freedom. We definitely will, and we stretch your dollar like you wouldn't believe. Bill Howie gives us $5. FYI, John Tory won election using Dominion voting machines. I don't know. We'll have to look into that. Explains a lot why the Goldie vote was so small. Christine Burns gives us $20. No super chat. Gloria Benitez gives us $13.99, or I'm sorry, Gloria Benitez gives us $139.99. Keep fighting the good fight, free Adam. Thank you, Gloria. That's very generous. Ken Hiller gives us $5 in a super chat. Holy Tiger, mainstream media giving flack to Jason Kenney for not shutting down the small biz shows their true colors on their disgust for the Canadian people and their rights, especially when he mentioned the Charter of Rights and Freedoms in his presser on Tuesday. He did. He cited it several times, saying we can't violate charter rights even if there's a pandemic. Kurt123 gives us $10. I don't know why, but something about that Adam guy reminds me of Stone Cold Steve Austin going up against Vince McMahon. Thank you for the wrestling reference. I've been on air for several hours today, and there were none. And I don't know if Ezra knows wrestling, so I don't want to bring it up.
I wonder if Ezra knows wrestling. Ezra knows everything. No, Mr. Producer said
not.
Definitely not.
Okay. Catherine Arajo, maybe? $6.99. Shiba dog clapping his hands. Simple Man gives us $5. On November 15th, CTV aired that, David and I talked about this on the live stream, I think on Tuesday. Or no, not David and I, Andrew and I. On Tuesday, that aired, only 166 Canadians have died from COVID outside of nursing homes. Sent you the clip. We talked about it already. Go back and watch Tuesday's show. Andrew wants to know what was David's favorite silent film, because it's an old joke.
Well, Andrew, ever since the jazz singer came along, it's just the talkies for me. I'm going to take care of you later on, tough guy.
Eva Kozovskowska gives us $25. And I'm so sorry that I struggled with your name. Susie gives us $5. Hi, Rebel. I'm having a hard time finding a bookkeeping job since the lockdown. With all these super chats, looks like you may need a bookkeeper. Interesting. Careers at rebelnews.com. Andrew Stats gives us $6.99. Even though we here in Alberta didn't get the restrictions as bad, UCP is still overreaching. What can we do here to demonstrate our civil disobedience? I think there's a protest in Calgary on the weekend. Frank Mahavlich gives us $13.99. You are all great. Keep up the great journalism. It is much appreciated. I'm glad I'm in Saskatchewan and Scott is not closing down small businesses, only more restrictions.
Is that the Frank Mahavlich, the big M?
I don't think so.
As opposed to Peter Mahavlich. Anyways, people that follow hockey would get that.
Hockey from 4 decades ago.
Justin's doing this.
We're done. I've been on air since 10 a.m. here. It's 3 o'clock here. And Skype is beeping in because we're late for our evening meeting. And thank you, everybody, for the super chats today. Thank you for your patience and allowing us to get to the super chat. You want us to keep fighting for freedom. This is one of the ways that we do it, through your generous support in the super chats. David, great job out there today on the front lines of the barbecue wars. I'm jealous. I'm jealous of all of it. I'm jealous of the smoked meat. I'm jealous of everybody in plaid jackets out there, blue collar people fighting for freedom. I bet you smell like smoked meat right now.
Funnily enough, I've never gotten my grubby hands on a piece of smoked meat in these 3 days. There's just been so much anarchy to cover. But you know what? I have a funny feeling if Adam is released, I'm going to be back at Adamson BBQ tomorrow morning, Friday, and see if we're going to have part 4 of the Great Canadian Barbecue Rebellion.
Thanks, everybody. And I think Justin wants us to wrap up the live stream. So we'll do just that live stream again tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time, 10 Mountain Standard. Thanks again, everybody, for bearing with us. This was a very unexpected day and things were moving and changing very fast. So thanks for tuning in and thanks for bearing with us as we tried to bring you the news as quickly and as accurately as possible.
And stay
Thanks
safe.
again, everybody.